Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A happy Thursday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by Two Hoots. Hard ice tea, big taste, bold refreshment, real brew tea. Don't just give a hoot. Give two. Matt Iwanyk, Joaquin Gage, Tom Gazzola, Dean Millard with you here on the Hangout on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tune in iHeartRadio as well as those watching on YouTube. We are your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Why were you laughing at the start before? Because I said mics are live and then you just started giggling.
You just thought it was the funniest thing ever.
I realized how the professionalism, and I saw the thought process
You're not used to
going
it?
through your head just then. Like, guys, I'm about to go live here. Like, and I saw the whole thing, and then you just went, Mike's alive. Just to cut through everything, and it was a great decision, and that's why you're in the position that you're in, Maddie, with that move, because I saw the whole process, and I don't know what it was. It just made me smile.
He has mastered passive aggressiveness.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I don't believe I was passive aggressive there at
No,
all.
it was very masterful, because I saw you get that look in your eye, like, okay, guys, shut the
showtime?
F up. Shut the F up. I got to hit this thing. And
We
then
were
you
talking.
Like, I don't think I've ever would consider this show and Sirius in the same. Like I said to you, the very first time I appeared on this show with Guy Flaming, I texted Matthew and said, "What are we going to talk about?" We got a list. Not once did we talk about anything about that. And ever since then, I'm like, this show is about no prep. Like, you don't ask what's on, what we're talking about. It just evolves.
Whatever we want.
Yeah.
It's organic. That's
I
what this show
remember
is.
when I first, when Dusty and I's relationship at the embryo stages, and meeting him at a U of A Bears game, and then and then we ran into each other again at Canadian Tire, and then he said, "You should come on the show," and I said, "Yeah, that'd be great."
Yeah.
So I showed up way too early. He thought I was just going to show up for the hit, but I wanted to see the.
Oh, you were doing the whole show.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to
that's
Stern.
what you wanted
right?
to, yeah.
So I thought, oh, you just go and sit there and wait.
And then
Kinda.
listen to Fred do drops.
Yeah. So I thought I was just going to be an observer until I came on. But Dusty said, hit the button. But then the next time I was like, oh, well, I need something to talk about. So I would text Dusty and say, hey, what are we talking about? And he'd say, oh, we're going to do this. And so I would make notes and kind of read them before and get kind of prepared. Not one thing did he ever tell me that we were going to talk about. And I was like, oh, you prick.
Just quickly, you mentioned the Stern Show. I think of like your AM nasties as kind of like whack packers. Like if people are familiar with the Stern world, it's characters, it's people that, there are people that plan their lives around listening to Howard Stern. And I think people are doing a lot of the same thing with you guys and what's going on. It becomes a culture. And on that note, did you not think of the Stern Show when you heard of Richard Simmons passing away and the Gary?
Oh, gosh,
There's so many different people that went on that show and made such a mark that's what I think of. I think you guys have a version of that here with, look at the golf tournament that you had and the pictures that came out of it. You have characters. You don't have listeners. And viewers, right? It's really cool, I think.
Norm in a combine,
that's right.
Who are you, Norm? Norm in a combine. Oh, Norm in a combine, and then now Sticky Rice.
But they all have names.
Norm's wife from
Tracy.
Now until the time she's gone. It's hey, Sticky Rice, how's it going?
Sticky Rice had a great time.
It's more than a network or a station. It's a community. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way to describe it, Dino. And we do have the listeners that just tune in. Obviously, like in the summer, it gets quieter, but we do have the casuals that come in.
Sure,
they pick and choose their spots. But you're right; it has created its own culture, and it's organic.
Sports talk is kind of like that, right? Because we always used to say in TV that sports is the toy department of TV.
Totally,
sports is always. Well, when you're all sports, everybody is in the same boat, right? You're not like. Sports is here, news is here, weather is here, like in the TV. It's like everybody is sports. Now, different shows and things like that, but you're all in the same boat. So,
but the one thing Dusty said, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but he mentioned how the producer would come in and go, "Hey, maybe a little less." Oh, it was yesterday with his anniversary, right? He said the producer came or whatever, the
Station manager,
station
yeah,
manager came in and said, "Hey, maybe a little bit less of the wife talk." And I was like, "Gosh, that's terrible." How
When did this happen?
Yes,
At TSN.
When he was at TSN?
Yeah.
No, like
Yeah.
at 1260?
1260.
Oh, it had to have been.
Yeah,
That's
but I'm
what
trying
he
to figure
said.
out when, like, in his time there, which of the two
I'm thinking it was
bosses?
the bald guy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I remember him.
The bald guy that was the boss. I'm thinking that was.
I didn't even, I forgot, I wasn't even going to add him in there.
Like
so
the guy
which
that
of
would
the
come in
three?
every now and then?
No,
No.
you weren't there for him.
Oh, okay.
Before.
Ross.
Yeah. I couldn't remember his name. But yeah, I think it was that guy.
Yeah, because
I'm intrigued.
the fact that
I feel like it might have been a different one than I'm.
oh really?
Well, no, I'm just trying to. Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
it's somebody different. I don't know.
But how? Like I'm just thinking on a connection basis, and that's what Howard
That's right.
Stern was so great at, and what everyone here is so great at is opening up about personal things about their lives.
Yeah,
and-
Stern took it to extreme, talking about the fetus and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
But you
yeah.
are right.
Yeah,
When
uh-huh.
I think, listen, and I thought Jim Rome put it the best. Hey, local TV anchor, you're not a celebrity. But in the media world, people on TV and radio oftentimes, like, especially if you're in a corporate situation, you get that
Oh, yeah.
big stuffy I'm TV. That is the exact opposite of what I think we were at TSN 1260.
Totally.
And formed that into and brought
Yeah.
over here. It's the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, no, I mean I've run into Strutty at Slurpee machines or slushies, and he hasn't bought me one yet. So.
Your day's coming. Your day's coming.
I like to rip Strutty.
Struts was very kind yesterday. He said he loves what we're doing and he tunes in all the time.
Yeah,
I saw when you guys posted for the midday, somebody
And a
said
junior
Strutty.
producer.
Yeah, and junior producer,
We've,
by the way. Come work for a great company.
I gotta work on my resume.
Somebody threw
Send it.
Strutty's name out. And actually,
Yeah.
I was really impressed and I didn't read all the comments. I read the early ones, but a lot of people were like, hey, this, but hey, this, hey,
Yeah.
this. And I like that when other people think, hey, I think you'd be a good job. That's not to say that you guys are going to think it, but that means people are like buying into what you guys are doing and hey, I think this guy would be good. That's when
That's a
I
good
think
point.
you know that you really have made a dent in this community.
With that said, EdmontonSportsTalk.com at the very top it says careers. We have posted for two positions. We have a part-time midday host as well as a junior producer role. Check it out. Deadline July 31st. So EST, we're expanding. Stay tuned to the Nasty Bash next week for some details. That's what I will say.
It's going to be nasty.
But yeah, there's Dusty said at the golf tournament. Something will be announced at the Nasty Bash.
Yeah.
So last year at the Nasty Bash, we announced Edmonton Sports Talk.
yeah.
That was the one it was in at the St. Albert, right?
St.
The
Albert
very
Rugby
first
Club.
one, yeah.
Next Friday, we're back to the same spot. Invites have been going out. Nasty Club members had it exclusive until 10 o'clock this morning. So they got less than an hour left to RSVP. The emails were sent
He's
out.
very stringent.
Well, it's because...
Hey, rules.
Well, it's also beyond that. Like the Oilers actually
Listen.
run has pushed everything back for me. Like
To quote the
it was
great
wild.
Walter Sobchak, this isn't Nom, there are rules, and Matthew makes the rules.
Walter Sobchak.
Okay?
The dude abides. The dude
Dude
abides.
abides. You need to abide to Matthew, okay?
I know. I've learned over many years.
I gotta say, it was on the other day, and my son, who just turned 19, and actually I was gonna wear his shirt today. I have when you have kids, they have the.
I don't know.
None of us know, actually.
I said when.
I thought you said-
When you have kids, they picture day, you get the sheet of what you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got obviously the picture of my son on my shirt.
Oh, okay. That's
so
pretty cool.
I've got this thing of when he is really young, and I put it on sometimes when he's like, "Dad, take that off." But I was gonna wear it today, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But no, it's
That's a great way to get in his head.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, throw him off a little bit.
It's really.
if you ever
power
compete in anything, like if you guys go play golf or something, just
yeah, just
casually bring that,
casually-
right? Just
yeah.
throw it on the golf cart on his bag.
Yeah.
Years ago, I think it was right pre-lockout. I challenged him to a 60-meter dash or whatever, and I was completely confident I could beat him because I sprinted when I was younger, And my wife did this whole video and stuff, and I wore like a onesie leotard, and it was great. And it was kind of snowing out, and he blew the doors off me, and I ripped my hamstring.
You were Michael Johnson.
Oh yeah,
He was
I
Donovan Bailey.
It was.
God.
It was. He was so far. And I go, feet move.
Yeah.
And then I realized, wow.
Who was the media race, Matthew? Stauffer?
And Brownlee.
Oh, and Brownlee.
Oh my
Stuff
God!
from
Really?
This
You
was
should
before
have
my time.
seen it. It was
I can only
epic.
imagine.
At the time Eskimos practice or something.
Yeah, at the practice field,
Really?
like where
J-Mo has the
Concordia, I think, was it at Concordia
Maybe.
or maybe it was at Clark Park? Yeah, Bob
You were there for that?
Yeah, I there was video of it. So
Yeah, somebody has the video somewhere.
yeah,
Oh my God.
that's
That
pretty
would be
epic.
good. That would be really good.
Yeah, like it was, and I think somebody went down. Like I'm pretty
Kissing
sure
Bob.
somebody went down.
Bob's great. I don't know. Does he still play in the media? The game,
the minor hockey game?
minor hockey game. Does
No, he
still-
hasn't
no?
played in one in a while.
Oh, really?
Do you guys still have that?
Yeah.
They did
I
it
don't
this
think
year.
I would be invited to a minor hockey game anymore, seeing as we're the devil.
There's a little bit of a conflict there with the.
Do you think I would even be allowed to go in and watch it? Like I just like to, because those were fun games. I mean,
They were super
when we
fun.
played against like the former pros or alumni, like we literally went to overtime one year and it ended in a shootout. I remember Carius went in the shootout or something. Like they were fun, and then the next year the pro team got a lot better, and we're like, hey, what are you doing? We're not
Yeah.
getting any better.
Yeah.
We can't just go call some media guy that has ultimate skill. But they were good, fun games.
Well, first of all, there is no media guy that has ultimate
Yeah,
skill
There
in
is.
this city.
There is.
But they all
There
count
is.
as former pros.
Rob Brown.
Yeah, but he's a former pro.
He goes and plays with the pro team.
No, he doesn't. He usually.
Oh, you know who we had? We had Kent Simpson. Simmer in his gold
Simmer was
helmet.
great, yeah.
Because he would wear his gold. Remember the gold helmet that
Yeah.
he won in here? So he was the best media guy.
Okay, that makes sense. Carius is pretty good still too.
Yeah,
And
except,
he-
you know what? After the 17th toe drag, you figure it out. It's Kevin toe drag Carius. When we used to play Tuesday, and he would be able to light me up. He would tell stories too. But when we play Monday, Tuesday hockey, that's when we played when I was at Global. And his nickname was toe drag.
Toe drag.
Yeah. He's very good at it when he would allow it to happen.
KK still organizes it. I think it came back for the first time this
Oh,
past year.
good,
You know what
good,
they
good.
did, Dino? They went and got kids from the AAA Oilers team,
To play with them.
and they just murdered us. Murdered us.
The pros did?
Well, because they didn't have enough pros this year.
Oh,
I don't think
So-
Gager got the invite.
Why not?
I don't get a lot of invites.
But there's not
anymore.
like
I
it
think
used to
him and a
be
couple of others, like,
Oilers,
didn't
and
get
then
the
it was
invites.
like evolved into anybody. Like
It
and,
did.
yeah.
It just became.
Yeah, it was a fun
Like, there are
game,
a few
though. and it
former-
would kicked off minor hockey.
Yeah,
that's
and
what it
Gager
was, right?
back.
Yeah, but they went and got AAA Oilers kids, and these kids all played together. Those kids know how to legit toe drag.
sure.
And
where you send one
I
to the
always end
boards.
up on defense with KK, and I've
a message.
never played defense in my life.
He hasn't either. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know.
But he's played defense.
But we
Yeah.
work off of each other that way.
It's funny. Him and John Sexsmith and I were at Global, and before the very first outdoor game at Commonwealth that the Oilers organized, Lowe and everybody and Simmer,
Yeah.
they were all wanting to get into shape. So they said, "You guys want to come play?" So we were like, "Well, of course."
Yeah.
So KK, Johnny, and I went and played, and it was Huddy, Lowe, and I think Simmer, and anyway, a couple other people. I've never had a harder shot than Charlie Huddy's. Like, I'm not talking about Al McInnes. Charlie Huddy, my hand was throbbing. Anyway, we won the first game. You know how competitive Kevin Lowe is.
Oh, it's
KK's
awful.
like, all right, we won that. Who wants to play again? Lowe's like, all right, another game. No more neutral. We'll keep it turnover. And then they just floored us. I'm like, thanks, KK. Thanks for poking the beast of Kevin Lowe.
He still does that.
And he,
yeah.
it was a lot of fun just to say that, like when Craig Simpson scored, I'm like, hey man, that guy is a 50 goal scorer. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
it's almost like a badge of honor that a 50 goal scorer pumped one past me. I mean, I never played a high level, but going out to Golden Bears
I
practice
can't
when they
say
needed a
that's
goalie.
the same.
Yeah.
So
Lots of 50 goal scorers scored on me, and it didn't feel good about it.
You talk about the
You weren't
AAA
honored?
kids. I said to Belzy the other day, I said, hey, there's these touring teams coming to play at Silent Ice.
Yeah.
Why don't we play them? He's like, they would skate us into the ground
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we were at me and my buddy and KK went to an outdoor rink. And then there was these AAA kids, and we're like, hey, let's play 3-on-3. Yeah, okay. The
They're
kids
so good.
corkscrewed me into the ice.
Yeah.
Like I was, and these guys were my KK and my buddy played a high level of hockey. they couldn't keep up just because we don't have the lungs, man. 17-year-olds aren't
skill,
smoking cigars
skating,
at 2 a.m., right?
Yeah.
You know,
a bottle of whiskey the night before doesn't help either.
Yeah.
But it is impressive, and you're right. Like they have that youthful jam and jump and energy. It's great.
anytime the kids come out to shinny, you're like, oh, this is like when the
they're so
JPHL
good.
kids come out to shinny,
They're
I'm
so
like,
good.
Marcus Larocque, I'm like, this is going to be fun. Not only I'm not going to be able to see around them, but it's just fun to see the skill and the speed and that up close because you never get that at shinny. No matter, like, even when you go out, Gager, and you play, it's still not at the level that you remember, right?
No,
like, it's never at, but when you go out with young kids, you're like, oh, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I remember how fast the game used to
I
be
used
when
to
I
have
played,
that
right?
smarter.
I don't think of that so much as when I just flash back to my years in Vancouver when I would get my mom to drive me out to Burnaby it was 4 rinks at the time. Now it's 8 rinks. And getting in there and signing up because goalies were free, but I had to
for
get out
shinny.
there. For shinny. And then, you'd get Lume, Ronning.
Oh, that's cool.
Linden.
And this was in the summertime?
This was in the summertime,
oh,
right?
Wow. So how old would you think you were?
I don't know, 15, 16.
That'd be like going to Perry Pern's camp, right? And just signing up and
signing
being able to go
up and
out.
being able to
That's
go out
awesome.
with all
Wow.
these NHLers. So, and then, you've got Pavel coming down on it. Well, this was a little bit older. But yeah, like
Quarter speed, probably Pavel too, right?
And then there was a lot. Yerky Lume, I have to say, and this is for all the Canuck fans that are losers, but
You've got Gaz's back. Nicely done.
Yerky Lume
Nicely done.
was one of the best people I've ever met. I sat beside
In what
him
way?
every way.
Just a good guy.
And I didn't realize it because
And you're a young kid. So
I was a
he's,
kid. Well, I was younger. I wasn't a kid at the. I guess.
Were
Whatever.
you in the
You're a
dub by then?
teenager.
I
still?
think I was in the BC Junior League, and so.
But you're a young teenager
I was a
and-
kid. I was
and he's
very impressionable
taking
at that
time.
age. Exactly. And this guy, like, you're sitting beside Yerky Lume, and it's a big thing as a kid when you go play with pros because they have all the pro crap.
Yes.
Like, their Canucks bag and their, and their sticks
Sticks
say
are
their
labeled.
name on
Yeah.
them and all this stuff. And Lume was like, he was talking to everyone, and I'm just in awe. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you ask me something, what am I going to say? And he was so genuine with everyone, and he would never guess that this guy was one of the best defensemen
longest tenured
in the league.
yeah,
Like he was
was
unreal.
solid. He was
and then
underrated, obviously.
way underrated and then you would I would always love when he was on my team because he played games to 5 and then he'd switch
yeah.
right? And so Lume would get the puck and he was maybe 60% going, but he'd get the puck and then a guy would come at him and he would just kind of hold the puck off.
Yeah.
And it was no hitting, but the guy would kind of reach for it and then he'd just kind of go around and then send
It's like he was in slow motion.
oh
right?
my gosh. And then send a backhand sauce far blue to hit a guy on a breakaway. And it would just be like this.
Like nonchalant.
It's
Yeah.
just ridiculous. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to get to the NHL because they're that good.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, he was but just a way better person than hockey player, and he was a phenomenal hockey player.
That's cool.
I watching those guys, we were lucky enough. Do you remember like at the games there would always be like the 2 Sportsnet seats that the right down in front of the glass that they would give to camera guys that sit there.
Yeah.
So when my wife was running Aquila, we got to sit in those seats for a Detroit Red Wings game. And for 2 periods watching Nick Lidstrom control the game, it wasn't like he was in slow motion like at a shinny game, but there was never an ounce of panic in his game. Like everything he did was planned and controlled, and like he wasn't dominating everything, but it was just like that's what your story kind of reminded me of. When you can watch close up, it'd be like if you could watch Messi for an entire game or different things, right? When you watch the best at the best do that up close, you realize how fast the game is and how much better Nick Lidstrom was than everybody and thinking ahead.
Yeah.
It would have been the same if you would have been able to watch Gretzky at ice level, the way he thought the game. It just like a conductor, right? That's what I thought of Lidstrom as you know, this is what we're going to do. Pronger had that a little bit, right? Very calm and able, to the point where when Chris Pronger was traded here, people were like, this guy is so lazy. He doesn't try at all. Be like, have you heard of economy of movement? His one stride is to your 6. So when guys do that, it's like a rocking chair they're playing in.
I always thought that, like, Chris Pronger, I didn't know if because that's when the rule change came in, right? And then
Right after the lockout, So that's when the clutch and grab went away.
Right. So you saw, like, the Darian Hatchers of the league get completely pushed out.
It basically turned them into antiques, right?
Yeah.
Overnight.
Yep.
And I thought that's what was going to happen with Chris Pronger. I didn't realize how gifted a skater he was and how efficient with the puck
how smart he was.
It was
because he was such a tough guy. That was his kind of reputation.
Well,
tough in front of the net. Yeah, and he was. Don't get me wrong. In front of the net,
he was
in
vicious.
Scrums with the media. He was, you know, like he was.
I never dealt with him in scrums, but I heard he could be a jerk.
He was like he was a take charge guy. Like
Okay.
Sometimes it got really annoying, but that's his life. On the ice, he takes charge. Off the ice, he would control. Like he was a. I just think that he couldn't turn it off really because he was totally a captain, right? And I think he was a captain everywhere except for maybe Anaheim that he went to, and Niedermeyer was already there. But
and Hartford, obviously, he was just 18, 19.
And I guess Jason Smith was here, but he was the leader of that team, and like that. I think that's just the way it was. So he would start his scrums. He'd be like, somebody would be like, "You guys are asking," and so you'd start to be like, "No." Matthew, you get the first question today. Just control. Like he just wanted to control everything. And I think that's because he played that way on the ice. Like he was the controller and, you know. So I think maybe that's the way he was off the ice too, with the media. I don't know if he's like that with his family and kids or whatever, but.
The one that he was on.
He's a real estate guy now, I think.
Yeah, he has some good financial tips actually
he does actually.
For young,
on Twitter.
For young professional athletes, he had one that was perfect. That I think every kind of young guy, well, maybe it's different now, but he said, if you're going to the NHL, you're a good player, you're going to be on the team. Don't go buy the house or the cottage in Muskoka like I did. Rent. You're making enough money to do that. Save your money, invest it. It's going to make a bigger difference in the long term. He says he went and bought a place in Muskoka, right? Yeah. He got his
that's the
bonus.
Place. Yeah.
That's the place. That's what you do. He said I was there for 2 weeks in the summer. I was paying this thing off. And it was ridiculous. I could have,
and that probably wasn't small.
No, it probably wasn't. Yeah. So
probably only 3 boats.
It's not liquid.
Toys.
If you sell it, you're not making any money on it.
So invest and then buy later, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he had some really smart things and convert. I remember because when I played, I bought a limited Grand Cherokee, like the
Jeep
nice
Grand
thing,
Cherokee?
with the 6-disc changer that was under the passenger.
Which was huge.
6-disc changer.
Did you have a stop in the back?
No, there wasn't a 10-disc changer in the trunk. That's so convenient.
Because Freddie Brathwaite had a
pulling
green
over on the highway to change the discs.
Freddie Brathwaite had a green one, and I was like, "What is this?" He goes, "It's my 6-disc changer." And it was listening to Big Pun on the way to the.
I love that.
And so I had to get one. I had to get one. And then it was the dumbest investment I ever made. So.
But that happens. And I have always said this. I despise when NHL teams sign players who are still playing in junior right before the playoffs. And I'll give you 2001 in Red Deer. The Rebels are on their way to. They're gonna win the WHL. They eventually won the Memorial Cup. I think it was the Capitals signed Ross Lupaschuk right before the playoffs, and he showed up with expensive shades, car, and Brent's like, Brent Sutter, and he's like, and I think at sometimes Brent would take the keys away from the kids, and because you're a 18, 19-year-old kid, trying to focus on the playoffs. Now you're all this money in your bank. Like I've always said. You shouldn't be able to sign kids until after they're done playing. Like if the kid goes all the way to the Memorial Cup, okay, then you sign him.
Yeah.
Don't hand $875,000 to a kid who's been making $75 a week right before the most important time of the year.
Doesn't really make sense.
These are teenagers. There's enough crazy stuff going on in their heads anyway without throwing almost $1 million in their bank account. Like, how does it not mess with their head? And that's just because they're kids. If you put $875,000 in my 48-year-old bank account right now, I'd be gone. Like, I'd be like, what do you know? Yeah. So what is it going to do to a 17, or at least an 18, 19-year-old?
I remember reading, I can't remember which book this was, but it was a kid, a Western Conference League kid, signed his ELC, got the bonus check, showed up with a huge, big new truck, wearing jeans and a cowboy hat to fitness testing, and they got him on the bench press. He did one, said, "I'm done," and just drove away. I can't remember.
Got back into his brand new truck,
and
probably.
Just like,
it's just, I just think like, and you're right. And I'm thinking the financial component that comes with agencies now is much different than even 20 years ago.
I think it's closer to like Ballers or something. Like when you...
It is.
That
show is... I was going to wonder how closely... And you see that in the NFL camps. Guys, like, how much money are guys spending on their entrances to like training camp? It's like the NFL money that gets spent. Obviously, I think it's tamped down a little bit, but the advice that they must get now is almost there's a
person that
mandatory,
it.
right?
Yeah,
it's almost like you're not handling your money.
Isn't that what Mike Comrie does?
I think so, in some respect, but that's and I'd have Cass would be way better to talk about this. Cass kind of is in this kind of loop, but I think what happens now is the whole screening process to become an agent in the NHL is a lot different, right? To make sure that these guys are taken care of in a different capacity for sure, which is I think needed, and almost to the point where, I mean, a lot of those first rounders and they get the max and they get the bonus. Mm-hmm. I think that should be almost held in somewhat a trust or something
or
else.
Or a percentage of it at least, right?
That they have access to a portion of it, but not all of it. Because that's life-changing money that can make a huge difference with, whereas, like
you maybe it's time released, right? Like the first year you get this percentage, then you get more. I think,
or just like bucket strategizing with it. Okay, well, let's see if he makes it. If this doesn't work out, there's some set aside for post-secondary. Just everything can be set aside for
that sounds like such a logical idea. And there would be somebody that would fight against it. Be like, no, you are taking away that person's right to blow all of their money. No, but we are helping this person.
Yes.
It's somebody would argue against it.
$1 million signing bonus. I buy $1 million one tiger. That's how I feel. I want to be like Mike Tyson.
That's right. Hey, your lists that you guys were talking about yesterday.
The ESPN list, the top 100 professional athletes of the 2000s.
But you guys also had some boxing lists that Mike Tyson was not.
I was just going through and looking to find
I couldn't believe that.
We're best boxers.
But you know what it made me think of, just really quickly? Did you see George working with Rempe and Tyrell Bauer?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I work, so I'm lucky to watch that out my window, and I am like, I got to go down to ice level and watch that. And
did you take that video?
I didn't take that video, but I watched from that vantage point, and the uppercuts that this is what I thought. Please don't connect. Please don't miss off of the thing and connect George, because I don't know what George might just instantly react, like somebody just hit me, right? Like, and I'm like, please don't miss. But then after I'm thinking what George said. What is Rempe going to be like next year when he picks and chooses his moments and delivers now? I'm like this. And George is working with Marcus, his son. There's about 5 kids that will be going into junior that were drafted from the JPHL. They're working out in Montreal. So I think it's neat that even though this is a part of the game that's going away, these kids still need to know how to defend themselves, especially when you're that big and somebody's going to pick on you. And your name is LaRock. Like, how many guys are going to try to pick a fight with Marcus because his name is LaRock?
Unfortunately, probably a lot.
Yeah, that's right. And they may learn, that wasn't a good decision. I don't think Marcus is going to be. I think Marcus has more skill potential than George. So I don't think he's going to have to fight as much, but he's going to have to probably just because of his name and his size.
Yeah, I was always more a fan of the spontaneous fight.
Sure.
Where it just got to a boiling point and boiled over.
This,
like
let's go.
if you watch, I mean, Brendan Shanahan fights, they were always the best.
Yeah.
Because it was never going out looking for it. It was just you go, oh, he's fighting. Oh, he's getting.
Wendell
getting
Clark
heated.
was the same
Wendell
kind of
Clark,
way,
same.
right? Like
He
it's
didn't
just-
go looking for it, but
He just reacted to
Yeah,
it. If you did something, he was gonna. If you did something to his teammate or to him, okay, you're gonna. I'm sure Gordie Howe was probably the same way back in the day, right? They weren't gonna stage something because that was probably, beneath what they thought of the game. It was like, but they're not gonna back down from somebody.
yeah. No, I like that, but yeah, I think it should stay. I think it should stay in all sports. Whatever. I love
I
it.
actually enjoy bench clearing brawls in baseball.
You do?
Yeah.
You
Nothing
enjoy
happens.
the bullpen running in
Yes.
and then nothing happens.
No,
Yes.
You enjoy
that's the one thing I would love to.
wild
I'd love to be the
swings and
bullpen
misses.
guy.
Yes, 'cause
I
he's
love to be the
strong.
bullpen. That just comes bolting in really
Like
late.
that's listen.
And then does
baseball
nothing.
is probably my favorite sport. I make my living in hockey, but if I won the lottery, I would spend the rest of my days watching and reading about baseball. That's the most embarrassing thing for me as a baseball
Can I
fan
explain
is
why
the
I like it?
bullpens running in because
love the
nothing.
bullpen run.
If they ran in and it's like, okay, let's go, like in Strange Brew when they play the alarm and then
Yeah.
the guys fight. If that happened, sure, but they all run in and stand around,
Yes.
and I'm like,
Dino,
you guys
may I
wasted.
explain why I
Yeah,
enjoy
I'd
this?
love to know. I'd
you.
love to know.
I appreciate that. Because exactly what you just said. 75% of the time, there's not one punch that lands. They're all going to chicken out, and they all hold each other and pretend, and they just jaw at each other. But when one fight actually has a punch that connects, it turns into this crazy, like, chicken wing throwing. And I love it. It's chaotic, and it's part of the culture of baseball, and it's like, oh, you threw behind me.
Yeah.
And then when it is ridiculous
You
in
get
a
a
way.
home run off me
It's
and
a circus.
celebrated. Yeah, it's
and
dumb.
then when an actual fight does occur, you're
Yeah,
like, oh, geez, finally.
Like the Rugnido-Dor,
Oh, totally.
Batista. Do you
Yes.
remember?
So I love seeing that.
Do you
because
remember
I'm like,
Alex
let's go.
Simmons' fight in the NHL?
Oh, yeah.
Slaps.
That fight
Yeah.
is what I think of every baseball fight,
Totally.
aside from Nolan Ryan crushing
And Pudge.
Robin Ventura
Yeah,
when
or
Ventura,
Robin Ventura, yeah.
chased him, and the Rugnido-Dor punch.
Yeah.
Almost every other baseball fight, I just think of Alex Simmons, Donkey Kong.
That's because that's why I enjoy it. Because it's
Because the bullpen tires themselves as they're running.
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
They
It's
have
like
to
they
run
just
that
wanna do
hole,
something.
and they bolt, and then they get there. Go. Oh.
If you're the
it's
bullpen
hard.
catcher, your job is to sit there and catch. You're probably like, you seriously, you want me to run into the field now? All I do is I catch the relievers here. Now I got to run all the way
See, I
in
think
there.
about
Totally.
bullpen. That give me some excitement for the day.
Well,
I'm running in. I'm running as hard as
like, as
possible.
far as,
I'm trying
like-
to beat everyone else there and then doing nothing.
We used to do like the top 5 with Hernan and I and Connor Halley and I, and we did like jobs, like sports jobs that you would love because they're not hard. I'm like, a bullpen catcher would be. And it'd be like you go to work, you catch. There's no stress. You can't affect the
Get a
game unless
uniform.
something happens. It's probably the most stress-free sport job
Yep.
that there might be. Maybe like Martin Brodeur's backup or something like
Chris
that.
Terreri had a long career.
Yeah,
doing
like I'm
nothing.
just thinking of different guys that like what is the least stressful job? The 12th man in basketball where you're
Yeah.
never going in or whatever. Like
Yeah.
bullpen catcher is probably it.
Gager, you could have played like 15 years in the NHL if you were Colorado Avalanche, New Jersey Devil, or like
Yeah,
a
maybe.
If Saber backup.
Maybe.
If
Yeah.
Grant Fuhr played 73 games the
Yeah.
1 year for Keenan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But like those guys, you're right. Chris Terreri was Martin Brodeur's backup.
Forever.
I don't
Clayton,
know. Tommy
uh,
Salo, I think, played 70, and I still
Clayton
didn't manage
Kershaw
to-
has his own catcher, and so like you catch on with the right person, you can
Yeah.
have a long career, right?
Right, exactly. Remember
Jamie McLennan had a pretty long career, and his book talks about a lot about that, right? Noodles?
He
Yeah.
was
Still suspended.
Great book.
He's phenomenal.
suspended,
though.
that's
That's the thing that's really.
And he was a good partner too. So
Well,
probably
yeah.
like Luongo was like, "Hey, I want this guy as my partner,"
yeah.
and that is probably something that doesn't get discussed enough. Is that relationship?
I don't think it was as common in that stage as than it is today. But the thing is, like, who's the big, like McLennan, Biron,
Right.
So these guys, when you look at, they were kind of, you look at them as career backups.
But Biron was a first rounder.
Oh yeah, and a ridiculous goalie. Like it was, when I would play against him when he was in the minors in Rochester, it would be like, if I let in more than, one or maybe 2 goals, we're losing because we can't. You can't score on this guy. He's that good. And Noodles was the same. We played against when he was in Worcester, Mass. And this is what a great guy Noodles is. Like, I think he was going through some health issues.
He had like a meningitis bout or
something like that, right? So he was just coming back, and he knew a couple guys on my team afterwards, and we played in Worcester. He was phenomenal, and we lost like 3-2, and he had like 60 saves or something crap like that. And then the biggest salt in the wound was he came to where we were eating after.
Oh.
And he just shows up and he's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And he's sitting down, he's talking to, and that's the first time I met him. And he probably can't remember this, but he was so genuine. Like I was like, "Who is this prick?"
Yeah.
He's just
And then at the end of the night, you're like,
he dummied me
like
It's great.
an hour before. But then he was talking to me and goes, "Hey, I'm in Edmonton. If you're ever there, let's do some." Like he was one of those guys that he was a real mover and shaker that you knew he was going to do something after. Like he already had
charisma.
Yeah, and he had eye on the prize after hockey already. And this was even before he he got back into the NHL and stuff. But what you don't realize is a lot of those players, especially goaltenders, that maybe you didn't think were great NHL, they were so good at their craft. There's a reason why they're good broadcasters. Is because they were good hockey players.
And I don't know how you feel about this, but growing up playing goal, the reason I think goalies make such good broadcasters is the entire game is unfolding in front of us, right? Like we are watching it this way, whereas players are watching it this way, and then sometimes you're in it.
Yeah.
The entire game for a goalie either is on the bench watching and seeing it, or coming back and forth. So I think as a goalie, you see the play develop. This guy's breaking out here before a lot of other people do, and that's why I think goaltenders do make such good analysts. Because they are constantly watching the play unfold in front of them, not from up high, but ice level. They have I think the goalie has the best. Yeah, they are. They have the best vantage point of the game at ice level.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 things that make me feel confident I know what I'm talking about with hockey. Is one
that you played.
Well,
3 things.
I mean,
There it is.
It was in the National Hockey League. I think that starts right there.
2.5. The one thing is when I see something and then one of the broadcasters mentions it right away, I'm like, okay, well, I saw that. But then if I'm watching hockey with my non-hockey folk people, and the puck will become like it'll be in the offensive zone. I'll go, uh-oh, and then. It's happened a few times with my friends, and the other team scored, and we've been watching an Oilers game. He goes, "How did you?" And I go, "Well, that guy pinched. That guy went there. It was good. I knew it was going to be a 2-on-1 the other way, and there was going to be a scoring chance." He's like, "Oh my god!"
See, I think every former NHLer becomes Rain Man when they watch games.
Yeah,
it just automatically is like, there's 400 toothpicks right there. Oh, there's a turnover right there, or whatever it is. It's like. You're not even trying, but it's just ingrained in your head. I think it'd be all athletes. You sit down with a quarterback sometime and watch a football game. It's like they're all like Tony Romo on the broadcast, right? Yeah. I think all athletes just have that intuition, or I should say all smart athletes have that intuition.
I can't wait to hear Brady, see his...
I just need to quickly go back to what you said. The broadcaster, they say something, and you're like, "Oh, I was." Which the former player broadcasters, or just any broadcaster?
Color guy. Yeah, I guess it's usually a former player.
Okay, just because I'm just when you say the broadcaster said something, I agreed with him. They're saying what I'm saying. You played.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like.
You were literally a broadcaster on NHL broadcast.
I don't know why you need someone else. It's
maybe I have a. I have
that's
a poor
the part
view of myself.
I know. I'm just you were in the National Hockey League, but you're sitting there the guy said what I said. I might know what I'm talking about. You got drafted. You played in the NHL, Gage.
And that would have been the first thing that when in your list of 2.5 things, that probably should lead. I think you buried the lead a bit.
You're being way too humble here. Yeah, I need other people to make sure I can validate my opinion because what do I know?
He's trying to offset
what
his
did you
shirt
do for
today,
your
okay?
career? Oh, I played in the National Hockey League.
Really? What's that like?
I guess.
Bones chiming in.
Sorry, it's just I find that so funny.
Bones has a question. Says, Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999. Of course. Are there that many kids who are struggling with making too much money on their ELC? My friend's son just signed his second NHL contract, and he didn't spend like crazy. The prospects these days are much more aware when it comes to finances. That being said, they should have a mandatory appointment with an advisor like yourself, Gager.
Yeah. I think, that's what I said. I think an agency now, if you're an agency that doesn't provide, nobody's going with you. It'd be like if you were a hockey league that didn't have insurance. No parent is putting their kid in a league without insurance.
Right.
So independent hockey has insurance, by the way. That's a myth out there. But I'm saying, like, no agency would be like, hey, come sign with us. Okay, where's your financial guy? Yeah, we don't have one.
Yeah.
Like, it's mandatory.
Yeah, no,
It's me. I'm the Dr. Nick of money.
The bees for a bargain.
I think even the guys my best friend kind of on the team at the time, my second time around was Dan Cleary. Fantastic guy. And I remember Don Meehan was his.
He was like a big dog forever, right?
He was the big dog.
He was the
I'd
only
say
game
it's
in
like
town.
probably Brisson maybe now.
But I think he I don't think to the full
Richmond,
extent, but he managed guys' money where he monitored their spending. So I remember him talking to Danny, going, "What are these?" I think he could see the credit card
statements.
So he goes, "Danny, what are you spending your money on here?" Like he got a call.
What's this French-made bill?
Le service.
I love the side note. French-made on the receipt would say FM radio. So if you ever had a business, they did that for businesses that guys would want to take their clients to the script club, but didn't want to.
FM radio.
FM radio.
Jesus.
Not that I knew that from experience.
No AM radio stays.
But he was looking at the statement to say, like, hey, this is too much or whatever.
Yeah, no,
right?
and there was kind of, I think he capped some spending for some of his younger guys, right?
You have to. I mean, there's horror stories of athletes, and Ballers, I think, was a great example of the entourage that sometimes comes with, like, sometimes it's not the athlete being, crazy with his money. It's the 13 people he's trying to support that this guy does this because it's his buddy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's also part of an agent's job to say, hey, man, you can't be supporting these 13 people.
You know what's weird about that? I'm glad you brought that up because that is a legit thing. It does happen in hockey and you see it. And I've gotten to see it, some of my friends who have them, and you're like, isn't it awkward? You can tell that they're just clingers on and they just kind of leech off of them. They're like that little shark that sits on top of the big shark.
And just cleans it up.
Yeah. And like
the suckers,
I'm sure my friends know. I would never say to them, like, hey, why do you hang out? Why do you let
Like, if you do a legitimate, like, let's say your friend played in the NHL and you were a financial guy or whatever, and you're like, hey, you're one of my best friends.
Yeah.
Do you want to handle it? Sure, that's whatever. But if it's like, you're Turtle, you're my driver, okay.
But
like you're E's Turtle, like you're like an entourage. Turtle was his driver and it was his friend or whatever. It's like, how much of an entourage do you need? If it's legitimate, that's fine.
Yeah.
But where do you stop? And that's probably not an easy conversation to have with your friends. Hey, you're my friend, but this is a business for me. But it has to happen because it does. It's legit.
Yeah,
Maybe not to the extent that they played it out, but I think it does happen.
Did you deal with like guys on the team when you were playing and you're like, why do you have that
like
guy
what was your
hanging around?
buddy? What were your buddies like when you played hockey that didn't play hockey?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It completely different. I mean, when I'd go back and play in Vancouver, I would grab all my friends and we'd go have dinner at our local pub that we'd go to normally in the summer, and I'd buy dinner or whatever,
of course,
right?
yeah.
But did they live at your house for 2 weeks?
No.
Did they expect it all the time and things like that?
Nothing like that. They didn't. I mean, I think it's a little different where I grew up and stuff, but I would. if I could pay for beers once in a while, definitely I would. And I'd pay for the cab rides home
because you should with stuff like that. But the whole like living at your house and hey, can you get me a car and I need this job?
Yeah,
it's like wow,
I wouldn't.
What a wild world.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think the people that don't feel uncomfortable like that are for a reason. Like I don't think those people are going to feel uncomfortable about much. Like. If you are a legitimate good person, you're like, I feel weird doing this.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a friend, like as a kid, I mean, I'm really getting into the DeLorean here, but if I had a friend who was you knew he was going to be something, like he was going to be a professional athlete in whatever sport, I don't think my mindset would be, I got to be good friends with him. I got to
hook onto that guy.
Because he's going to go somewhere and I can latch onto these coattails.
You're like, oh man, I want my friend to succeed. It'd be so awesome to know
it'd
somebody.
be great if he did, but I got to worry about, what
number one over
I got to
here,
get out of the 7-Eleven here and start getting a real job.
It'd be like, you're a hockey coach and you're like, I'm going to pick this guy because his dad is rich and I want to get, it's like you're singling out like, if you have like a Connor McDavid's close friends, like, and as those guys get older, probably those groups get smaller and smaller.
I would think so.
Like, how do you not, right? Because then people are all coming out of the woodwork. Hey, remember me in grade 5 or whatever?
Yeah.
So you have to, I think, but even I think nowadays, even the baseline athlete has to do that. Even the entry level guy, because people with social media and the way our society is, it's like, oh, you're a star. I'm going to latch on to you. Look at the people that target, like Trevor Bauer was targeted, and athletes get targeted.
Totally.
Men and women get targeted because of this, and then so it's such a weird society that we live in that people grab onto anything because maybe their lives are empty. I'm not sure.
From what I've seen from friends, like that is generally like there's lacking, so they latch on and go, well, maybe I
live
can
vicariously through this guy,
slingshot
right?
my way to the top. And
certain sports are elitist in a sense, and hockey, unfortunately, is becoming elitist.
Yes.
So
the cost makes it that
you're coming from affluent families, first of all, that football in the U.S. is not an elitist sport. Everyone can play it. It starts at the high school level. You can play through high school. A lot of stuff's provided for you. To do something in hockey, you have to be, you have to go to an academy that costs $40,000 a year.
Yeah, like you're going to Pop Warner football, they're giving you your shoulder pads and your helmet. You're going to Timbits hockey, you got to get your own equipment for the most part. You can get Sports Central has done an amazing job at helping, but they can't outfit everybody. Listen, as a kid, if the Brandon Youth Hockey Association did not provide goalie equipment, I wouldn't have played goal. I got my brother's old equipment when he was done with it, and Brandon Youth Hockey. We had 3 kids. They all played like hockey. So if I didn't get free equipment, I wouldn't have played. And so without Sports Central, there's a lot of kids that aren't playing, but there's also a lot of kids that they can't get to. So the cost of it, you show up at football, you show up at baseball for the most part. The bats are there, right? Like whatever else. Your batting
Bats,
helmet.
balls,
You bring
helmets.
your glove in baseball, right?
All my equipment,
you don't bring your own hoop to basketball.
Yeah, all my equipment had KMHA on, like Kerrisdale Minor Hockey Association. In Sharpie on the side of everything, right?
Yeah, and then patches where my dad would replace it because, you didn't want to take it back with the stuffing out. So
same with Archer's Urbex pads, SJMHA on those pads every year.
Yeah,
but it is becoming an elitist sport just because not only the equipment, you have to have a place that is freezing cold that you can freeze water. So that's a cost. The renting ice. You can go to an outdoor rink in the wintertime, but you don't have it by yourself. So the cost of not just the equipment, but playing the game. And we know, everybody knows it. It's being talked about. It's like a bit of a bit of a crossroads for this sport where hockey is falling behind in not just the NHL level, but the grassroots level.
Yeah.
Are we going to see, I'm sure there's so many kids that, the generational player is going to, I think we're not going to see as many of
the gap will be bigger?
because just there's some kids that won't be able to afford it.
Yeah, like if you look at, I'll just go back to the 80s where you had Gretzky, Lemieux, and that gap was short. And then you go and you have, would the next generational player be Sidney Crosby? Mm-hmm. So that was a bit of a gap.
Huge gap.
And then
was really
Crosby
short.
to McDavid.
Yeah.
That's relatively short.
So is the gap, like, is it going to be another 20-year gap?
Maybe generational is lofty, but I just.
But I think generational is important to make distinctions. Like Craig Button and I have talked about this. I think he has like a list of like 7 players all time, like going back to Howe or going through the list of I think his list is like 7 or 8 because there's Hall of Famers, Joe Sakic, Steve Yzerman, Jean Beliveau, that are not that individual generational player. And every sport should have their generational players, and then they're really awesome players.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like your Mount Rushmore almost, right?
Yeah, that's you need more faces.
The Ryan Nugent Hopkins story will not happen again with the way hockey's
that's a
going.
really good story too, right? And for him to play at, I think, Burnaby Winter Club, which is not cheap and stuff like
even
that.
back in the day, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's the rags to riches stories probably are going to disappear from hockey. I mean, you hear the rags to riches stories of kid in the Dominican learning to play baseball by hitting rocks.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear the kid in a Nuvik learning to play hockey by shooting rocks anymore. It just doesn't translate in hockey because you do everything that every other sport does on skates.
Yeah.
And
You know
that
what's
makes it so
interesting?
unique.
Sorry, do you know what's interesting about the Dominican? And it's like this is a gold mine of baseball players and has been for decades. Now the MLB has gone in there and they have developmental programs.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that might create an elitism in the Dominican and what we're
Like
seeing,
a two-tier system,
Yeah, what
right?
we're seeing in hockey, what exists right now, probably in baseball, I would imagine.
Because you might
does it cost more money?
might take the kid that was going to be really good that would learn and he's not going to get that development maybe because you're driving by a scout, sees a kid hitting a stick ball, he's going to stop and work with them. Well, maybe they're just going to be an academy thing or like a MLB thing.
And that's like, I could be totally wrong, but now that teams have gone in and they've built facilities and they're
like
bringing
they
in
send their prospects.
Yeah.
Like injured players go there to work out. Like there was a guy that was suspended for PEDs. He just stayed in the Dominican and worked at their academy or whatever it is. That's interesting.
So I'm curious. Like I remember seeing, I think the Blue Jays went in and they put in a facility and they have like a club program or something like that. Yeah. I wonder if, and I'm assuming more MLB teams might have invested some money there.
to. It's.
I don't know if it's gonna like stay as genuine, sincere, and grassroots, or if the let's call them greedy people get in there and they poison it.
Elitist,
you know what I mean?
And they make a tier 1, tier 2 system.
Yeah, but it's not run by baseball. It's not run by other individuals.
It's run by the league.
But you have locals in there, right, Matt?
Right, I don't know, but it's baseball is going to oversee that and stuff, and they're going to want to keep getting the best prospects.
They will.
Like it's not the money's not coming from a private citizen who
it's coming from the league.
Who all of a sudden where money then takes over and the creed takes over, and they're going to try to.
Do you know?
Raise the fees to get as much money as possible. Baseball doesn't need the money from the Dominican. They're there doing that to get players.
That movie
and that's
with
what might save them.
Clint Eastwood and I think it's Rachel McAdams or no, maybe Amy Adams.
Yes.
Trouble with the Curve.
Oh, that was a great movie.
Such a great movie where the high superstar homer, and they do it to the extreme where the kid is like charging for autographs and he's just crushing the ball with aluminum bats and then can't hit a curve, and she finds the kid at the hotel. Like to me that's the romantic part about baseball, and that's the part that you might lose some of that a little bit, but I think it's inevitable, unfortunately, the way you have systems. I mean, like in Major League Baseball now, a batter can go into the cage, look at a screen, put the pitcher he's about to face up on that screen, get his release point, and all this stuff while he's warming up. So
That's
you
insane.
know that Diaz is coming in from the Mets, and the that's going to
trumpet?
go off. It's awesome. Sorry, you probably don't like it because Rivera had to enter Sandman.
Well, you had the best one, but it's
My
also
wife,
the Mets are
Trish,
just on
was
the
at a
side.
game.
Who
She
cares?
texts me, why is everybody going nuts for this guy coming in from left field? Yeah, that's the best closer of all time.
Yeah.
But so you can go down and get everything from this pitcher, release point, everything, blah, blah, blah.
That's almost cheating.
Go back to my favorite baseball moment, 1988, Kirk Gibson, great Dodger, Jack Cookson, hits that home run. What did he do? He went and hit off a tee.
Yeah.
Like it's just such a technology
sports science?
is taking the romanticism, the storyism out of sports, and it's
natural
inevitable.
ability.
Oh, he loves that. Like, look at the fact that you
such a
can
kid
bet
right now.
on
You're so
VAR.
excited.
I know, it's funny.
Like the technology takes so much away from the game, but it's inevitable. And if we don't, like, I saw a picture the other day of a game with no rink board ad and everything. And I'm like, and every once in a while I'll put in like a Canada Cup game. I have those, or
Yeah.
we have from Aquila every Oiler clinching game of all their Cup wins. So every once in a while I'll put that in and be like, oh yeah, there's no distracting ticker. There's nothing, and I'm like, holy mackerel, do I focus on the play more? But in order to make money, we need the technology. So you're never putting the genie back in the bottle, unfortunately.
Look
right?
at the ice in the NHL now. It looks like a 1980s or early 90s AHL game. There's
Yeah.
so many
Euro.
inlay.
There's cars in
advertisements.
stadiums now, like in Europe. Like
Yeah.
that was the weirdest thing. Whenever I would watch a game from Europe, I'd be like, "Is that a car in the corner?"
It's a Skoda, Dean.
And now, and now I go to the Silent Ice Center, and we got vehicles in there on
Yeah.
display. I'm like, this is the way to go, I guess.
Crazy. Yeah, I remember the first time hitting European ice, and there was crap all over the place. And you're like, how am I going to pick up the puck when
How are
it's
you going to get your
launched?
angle, right?
Yeah,
Your-
it's
your-
all
your-
this other stuff. Like, it's crazy.
I didn't like in the Stanley Cup final that the NHL's gone away with the Stanley Cup final just inside the blue line.
Yeah.
That used to mean something. Like when the
Yeah.
cup final
Right.
came and
You
got
didn't
those,
like that they did that? Yeah, I'm with
I
you.
miss it.
Yeah, me
I
too.
miss it. It
It
just
was
because it adds just a little
simple.
more. And now you know it's okay. This is for real.
Yeah.
Like this is the series to win it all. And the fact that we saw Oilers, Panthers, and it's just
Yeah,
the
I
ice.
remember in
And it's like
2006
it was
when
there,
that
and
logo
it just
was
means
there, it was
something.
like, oh, this is it. Like you get that.
It's like when the baseball playoffs
Thing,
come. You
yeah.
know,
But
there's
But
just
that's
always
money
the,
that they're
Or
taking away.
here's
from.
another thing:
I know. I
when
missed
the
that.
Oilers would lose, and then the Oil Kings would finally get their logo at Rexall,
Well,
and you're
that
like,
still took a long-
the Oil Kings have finally arrived. And listen, I get
They
it.
fought against
The
it.
Oilers are the main tenant until they're done.
Okay, I remember those early years, and the Oilers were out well before.
Sure.
And they let the Oil Kings go through multiple rounds when the Oilers weren't playing.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Before they put it in,
But
and then they finally
should
put it in.
never come out until the
It
Oilers
should-
are done, but it
yes.
should have happened immediately.
And they
yeah.
didn't do it immediately.
Yeah,
And
listen,
they went,
the
and
Oil
which
Kings
was
have gotten a
embarrassing.
lot better. The Oil Kings, in my opinion,
that
came
was
in
back in
thinking
the
that the very beginning, like we're going to have success off the Oilers, and then they like and Guy and I on the Pipeline show were always like, promote other players that are coming in, promote Kyle Chipchura coming in from P or whatever it is, right? Because you don't have the team right now. And they started doing that, and people were coming, and then they got better, and it got great. So I think the Oil Kings have done a really good job, and it's been proven because I think their executive has won the award that the WHO gives out a couple of times. And it was so funny when Connor Bedard, his last season, went on the Western
a
Swing
tour.
there,
Yeah.
and people were saying, "Oh, there's this much," and I think it was Terry Jones had written or tweeted that only 8,500 people came to visit to watch Bedard. Well, it was still more than every other WHL rink that he went and played
Yeah.
in. So you get lost in the whole. It's below capacity here, but it's still they lead in attendance
Yes.
because it's still a passionate market, and the Oil Kings have done a good job.
They've done a very good job. And they were in Calgary like the next night. It was a national broadcast, and Saddle Dome was full. But
Sure, yeah, that's right.
I think that's what Jonesy was alluding to.
But like
It's
every
okay, I
every
guess.
rink that they went to, the Oil Kings still had them.
Yeah.
Even though their capacity was at below 50 or whatever it was, right?
It's a huge rink.
They do a good job. It's awful that they play in that rink.
Actually, it's kind of fitting them, Mel.
But I
This
think
year,
it would be
their attendance has been on after come February to later. I don't think they had less than 10,000.
No,
people
it's
attend.
I just think that
they finally
as an
built
atmosphere, it's great. There's trade-offs, right? You get to run into Connor McDavid every once in a while. You can maybe get that. But your in-game atmosphere, you're hearing sticks, and it's like we would play games where the Wheat Kings would play, and there'd be friends and family. I could hear my mom having a conversation in the crowd, right? Whereas you go to Red Deer and it's, but you don't. So there's a trade-off to being an Oil King. You probably don't have the greatest atmosphere until maybe the playoffs. But you also have the greatest athlete in the world in the same building, or maybe you get a tip from Draisaitl or something like that.
They do have a sick setup there,
we would
too.
see them all the time watching practices when Derek Laxdal had it. He would bring them up, and it's smart, Get your young kids to watch these guys and learn some good habits.
Laxey just got hired, by the way. Sorry, Gager. Go ahead.
No,
who?
I'll find it.
Oh, nice. Good for him.
Just talking about the ice things on the ice as a kid. It sparked my memory. I don't know if you guys remember, but it always, maybe it was because Christmas was coming, but Northlands or Rexall or Skyreach or whatever it was, they always put season's greetings.
Yes.
And
that's
so
right
I was like,
On the ice?
yeah.
Oh.
And it was distinct to Edmonton. They didn't do it in Vancouver because the Oilers were on obviously a lot more than the Canucks. And I just remember, it's Christmas time because they
That's
finally
cool.
put on season's greetings. And selfish every year, I'm like, God, I wish they would just go back and do that for, for
It's
December.
just a small little thing.
It's a small.
They add a little something, and why not do it?
And do
It's
you
like-
remember as a kid, like for me, a Christmas hockey tournament as a kid was the best. Like we have the winter championships in the JPHL, and we make a big deal of it. Dusty came and did some play-by-play for some games. Gene Principe came out and was our host. Like these kids are getting interviewed by
That's cool.
Gene and Peter Labardius. So to make a big deal, and I just remember like, oh man, you knew it was getting close to Christmas when you were going into your mid-season tournament, and then you're going into your break. Like, it was probably my most favorite time as a kid because it's like hockey, tournament, and then Christmas break. I'm like, this is the best ever, or a tournament over Christmas or something. Like, I think there's something that is a little bit extra special than say a February tournament.
Yeah.
Like I just thought it was like that as a kid, and like you're saying, when you see now we'll probably hear Christmas carols when you go into a mall now.
Yeah.
Well, Costco
July.
starts Christmas in August.
Yeah.
So.
But it gets earlier and earlier. But that was one thing. I remember for me it was the Sears catalog because I had to deliver them, and I'd
wish
be
book.
delivering them looking at like hockey equipment or toys or whatever.
Video
and-
games. I'd look at all the video. Laxey got hired Coachella Valley, so great gig.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
With the
that's right.
Kraken.
That's Seattle.
Kraken,
That's
that's
right.
Kraken.
Awesome.
Oilers wanted to get into Palm Springs.
that's right.
And, Seattle
Jerry
beat them
Bruckheimer
to
beat
it.
him to it.
That's good for Derek Laxdal, former Brandon Wheat King, and I enjoyed. I
like Laxey.
him as a head coach. He ran some hockey schools in Manitoba that when we'd go back in the winter or in the summertime, I'd go visit him in Rivers. So good guy. Congratulations to him. And obviously had tremendous success.
I think they announced it a week or two ago, so it's relatively new news.
Well, he was on the Stars bench when Montgomery got fired, and then I didn't know where he went
Bones
after
came
that.
in.
Yeah.
I think he went to the OHL.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was bringing this up a few months ago because I always he's a very intense guy, but I always liked him as a coach. I thought he was
But a
successful
very
coach.
personable guy. Like
Yep.
Guy
mix
and
of
I
it, perfectly.
would sit around after his pressers that he would come in, and we would just have conversations. And then a lot of times we'd be talking about the game, and we'd get into something totally different, right? So
Him and the Oilers used to bring him and Todd Nelson to the draft for a few years there, and I'd be like, Nelly, what are you doing here? Or Laxey, what's going on? They'd be like, I don't know. They just brought me to the draft and experience it, network.
pick their brain about
and then
junior
I'd be
kids,
like,
I
and
guess.
then they'd be like, you want to go for a beer? I'm like, yeah. And they were just good dudes
Yeah.
to shoot the breeze with, and they're great coaches. They've had success. If you're Laxey, you've had a pretty good run of places to coach. He was in Texas with the Stars AHL affiliate, so that's Austin. Great setup. Goes to Dallas. Was here as the junior coach. Had a great run here. Now is in Palm Springs. Like,
and didn't they go to the final in Dallas?
I think he was on the bench with
Well,
that.
on the bench
Yeah.
with bonus.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah.
He went to 3 straight WHL finals,
Yeah.
wins 2 of them, wins a Memorial Cup, gets to be that close to a stand. Like this is a guy who and he can coach like he's the perfect coach for the way this game is going. High intensity skating, push the pace. That's what his Oil King teams were, right?
He wasn't everybody's. I know he butted heads with a few guys, but sometimes you need that.
Well,
I guess,
sure. But what could you name me a team you played on where every player liked the coach, right?
Oh, yeah,
or
no.
every player liked each other. Did you ever have a team where like there's some guys that are like you just don't nobody likes this guy, but we like him on the ice. Don't like him as a person. I'm thinking Harrison Butker would be that guy in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, he seems
but
like
you know, you there's got to be some player that clashes with the coach, or the coach doesn't. Every coach has one whipping boy, or don't they?
The only team that was perfect was when we played on Team Canada that year, but.
Like the traveling team?
Yeah. So that was in '99. And Tom Rennie was the coach.
Oh, okay.
And
that's a little different, though.
but it's a little different. But the thing was,
cool.
we were in. I remember because we were in a Lada in Russia, and I distinctly remember this because I was awesome that game, and I was. And we lost 3-1. And I won player of the game, and they gave me I had a Russian VCR.
Cool. Do you still have it?
No, I couldn't plug it in here. I won a VCR. So anyway, but
it was a VCR for beta.
Afterwards,
Russia.
Because guys were bitching and stuff, and we met in the Peter Allen was our captain. And he played a couple years prior too, but we sat in the lobby and we had this big meeting, and he kind of just said, "You guys, you got to quit bitching. This isn't," because all of us came from the American Hockey League, right? So we're all like, "Whoa, who's going where? Who's ice?" Like, so it's like hyenas with a fresh kill, right? There's chum in the water, and he goes, "No one's going anywhere, right? We only get to where we want to be if we're all on the same page." And he had this long meeting. I'm like, And Jamie Ram and I, like,
I remember Jamie Ram.
I would say we were the best players on the team. The two, like, we were fine because we were playing great, but everyone else was playing crap. But then we were like, geez, this means a lot. Because even Ram and I, we had the competitiveness. You do. But
you want to play, yeah.
Yeah. And after that speech, it was the tightest team I've ever been on, because we were all about, if I do well, you do well, and we can. The Team Canada team was essentially there it's a springboard, because everyone signed pro deals after that, because you were exposed at international play. So, and it was Kent Simpson was on that team.
Simmer, nice.
That was the most fun, and it was the hardest team to leave at the end of it, because I actually went to Hamilton that year to play playoffs.
And that's how you ended up back with
that's
the oil.
That's how I ended up playing. Because my exit meetings with Tom, and I think I've told this before, and we were doing a tour in Ontario playing against the Slovak national team.
Cool.
And we were just going to little junior rinks all across Ontario. And Jason Spezza was my roommate.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And he was toe dragging grown men at 16. And I went in to see Tom, and he said, I go, is there any interest from any NHL teams? He goes, Gage, I'm sorry. And I go, what about World Championships? And he goes, I would take you, but you'd be my third guy. I got to take 2 NHLers. But there is interest from Edmonton. And I had left Edmonton in such a bad taste in my mouth. Come on. and so then he goes, no, Scott Housen had been on the trip the whole time watching me play and wanted me to come. And then I went to Hamilton and finished the year off and went through a few rounds in the playoffs.
My favorite part about this story is you were so self-deprecating earlier in the show, but that one was like, I was the best player in that game. Like, I loved it. Like,
he won the Hart Trophy one year.
Just came out right there in that story.
But it's easy to play in games when you get 60 shots and look good. I remember watching this, like, we were in Lada, where the Lada cars are made in Russia. That's the name of the team. And it was a stadium where the bench was on one side and it was just stands way up the other side. That was it. It was so
just
weird.
one side of stands.
Yeah, and then cheerleaders, Russian cheerleaders on the one side,
ripping darts while they're dancing.
And we were watching this Russian team in practice, and it was like boys, we're gonna get just destroyed. Like the skill level of all the they were just rifling pucks. I'm like, holy smoke. They had the puck at least 55 minutes of the game, but we battled.
Have you been to Russia before? Like,
No, closest I ever got was Helsinki. And we thought about going to St. Petersburg, and I'm like, no.
A guy told me he worked at a World Juniors one time, and he said there was so every country, I think it was a World Juniors or World whatever, one of the events. Every country does their own broadcast, right? And at that time, fed it back. He said there was a camera guy from Russia that they were in the same area. And like this guy was loaded, like the whole game, like doing this. And then he said at just one point in the game, the second period, put the camera down, lit up a joint, and just didn't shoot not a joint, a cigarette, and started shooting or started smoking and didn't shoot for whatever. Then picked up his camera after, so they just didn't. And then like in the third period, he just put his camera down and left. He goes, "I'm too drunk," and left. I'm like. Well, I guess they're not using the corner cam now or whatever.
Best camera guy in Russia, probably.
I'm like, this is a crazy story about an actual championship.
I would say the best one probably could do it while drunk.
Probably
A few.
Well
like
said,
that one,
yeah.
he's probably got to work his way still. I bet there's a few that
Maybe,
still got it, but they've been drinking the whole night.
Is this in focus?
It's a
Am
different
I in
world.
focus?
Man.
I don't know.
It was a completely different world.
I can only imagine. Like,
Tom, I can say it now. I remember one night because he would go out with the Russian Federation, right? After every game, like friendly that we played, and just get pie-eyed, just crushed. I remember when him and Mike Polino, who was our assistant, came home, and I think we had to play the next day, and he was out. They just completely crushed. Where's my, like, we could hear him coming in and knocking on doors and trying his key and different things, and he couldn't get into
how's
his
your
room.
coach?
That was our
Tom
coach.
Rennie.
Yeah.
That's funny.
This is the EST Hangout presented by Two Hoots Hard Ice Team, Iwanyk, Joaquin Gage, Tom Gazzola, Dean Millard with here on your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, Edmonton Sports Talk, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, tune in iHeartRadio, as well as those watching on YouTube. Got to get to Hangout Headlines, which is brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club, offering premier conditions, top-notch service, unmatched value. If you're looking to golf this season, the only place to do so, it is at the Ranch, theranchgolf.com. Forecast is just absolutely incredible.
Yes.
28 degrees right now, 33 for humidex right now.
Like over 30
35
like
today,
a week.
34
Bring it
tomorrow,
on.
34 Saturday, 35 Sunday,
Yeah.
33 Monday, 34 Tuesday. Then we drop down to 28 on Wednesday.
Live it up.
So
right?
it's,
Drop down.
yeah, we get all the way
Get
down.
that light jacket for the
brutal
28.
Get the sweater out because it'll be 28 degrees. Anyone care about the Open Championship? Anyone follow?
Yeah,
along with that?
sure, yeah.
Justin Thomas still sitting atop the leaderboard, 3 under.
I'll say this.
I'm
that
just-
would be the least major I would want to play in.
Really?
Yeah, I love the
difficulty?
challenge.
No, it just looks
By the way,
gross.
Rory McIlroy is +7.
I'm a Masters guy. I like pretty colors, green. I don't want brown grass. I don't want to putt from the 150 yards out in the fairway. You know, I want to hit a shot
shake this
that's
up
going to
and it
suck back to the, like that's my kind of golf.
Yeah.
So the U.S. Open is probably the third. The players or the
PGA?
yeah, the PGA would be 2. The
Really?
Masters, because of the courses.
The PGA, too, like of what you would want to play.
No, that he enjoys.
Yeah, and that I would want to play
or
too.
watching?
Both.
I like
would-
the British
U.S.
or the
Open and
Open.
the Open Championship. To me, they just try to make it so hard, and it gets gimmicky sometimes.
You don't like watching the best golfers
I
in the
do.
world struggle and
That's what I love
par
about
me
it.
Yeah,
something?
but no, yeah,
love
but I don't
that.
like watching the best guys in the world like bogey golf. I want to.
I do.
I want to
love
see
it.
birdie putts.
Here's
so
why
and listen. I don't think the Masters is easy. I don't think they make Augusta National easy.
No, but
and
there's
it's
a lot
still
of-
beautiful and entertaining. So
But
that's
there's
the way
a lot
I
of
look at it.
strokes to be gained. There's
Sure.
a lot of eatable holes.
That's
There's a lot of
fine.
birdie holes.
That
And
should be.
all
That makes a
year-
tournament.
Yeah.
But
all
if you don't
year-
have that you don't have passing in F1.
No, right, but it's all year.
Lead changes.
We get the birdies all year. We get
The
you
great
can watch them.
shots.
That's why once a year I have no problem if a tournament ends at +1. Awesome. I want to see those guys struggle once a year.
The
That's
PGA
it.
can get sometimes lofty.
It's not like that though. Like, and
I just don't like
that's where I like the
seeing
USGA
gross conditions.
I like the USGA going out there and be like, we're going to test you guys, and I love that the golfers hate it because they're being tested, and it's wonderful. And the week after, you could watch -29 win, and I could watch my birdies. Or
I like
Masters,
Pinehurst, where the U.S. Open was.
Masters is still -9 or something, or -8 could still win it. And Augusta #1. I do like the British Open, the Open Championship,
But don't you
because
find it's gross
I like
looking?
links golf.
No,
I
like it.
I like the links golf. I love playing links golf.
And that's fine, and that's great. Like, I'm
And
not saying I wouldn't
I like
want to
the
go play
bunkers.
Carnoustie once or see it, but I just don't think I would get excited.
I like the bunkers.
Yeah, I like the azaleas.
I like that at the Open Championship.
Masters.
It's a
I know,
full
we
open
talk about
field.
flowers.
The old guy could still come out
Colours.
at that course.
when
It's
I
very
was
equalizer.
when I was dominating the
Amen,
British
Gordon.
Super League back,
Yeah.
I played Turnberry.
You've told.
Oh,
yeah.
I think I would like to see those as a
but
fan.
we
or
went to
historian,
Troon
but-
too. Just we couldn't play, but just to look at it, and there's something different about links golf. Like you can't,
And
can't
maybe in
stop
person,
it.
it's different. Sorry,
It's
Tony.
the bump and run, the bunkers, and the wind.
That's
and
a strategy, too.
It's
Like putting from 150 yards out, it's just weird.
It's weird, but it's great.
Yeah, it's like mini golf. It's like going to the Putting Horse Ranch. Have you ever been to the Putting Horse Ranch? It's like out by Stony Plain.
No.
It's like a long golf course, but just with a putter. But it's not a mini golf course. It's like long. The Redtail used to have a long putting course that they would have too,
yeah,
and
I've
so
heard
but
about
it's
that.
that's what I think of as links golf. Is like you can play a links course with a putter.
It's just different shot selection. Well, yeah, but like it's a different strategy.
Now,
you have to
I
go
think
and
maybe
attack
in
it
If you don't
person-
keep it in the fairway, you could hit that. If you hit that fescue,
Yeah.
you're
You're
done.
screwed.
You're
And
not
maybe
getting
in-
out there. You
Maybe
go to
in
the US
person
Open,
it looks
you go to
different
PGA,
too,
you
right?
get in the
The
rough.
colors or whatever too. But I always look at it and I'm like, God,
Dino.
I would just be like, you know what? I'm good. I'm just gonna stay in the clubhouse today. Yeah,
We will get some azaleas
DNF.
out on
Yeah.
the course for you, so it brightens up
Thank
the
you.
shots.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Like I love the Waste Management Open
Oh yeah.
in Phoenix. Like that's the if.
Hopefully it's okay this
They have
year.
to dial it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, they got to dial it
But
back.
I'm just thinking,
Like
like,
jump the shark a bit. It feels.
you think so with the footballs and stuff like that?
Well, just how far it used to become. It used to look like a golf tournament that had a party going on.
Yeah.
Now it's a party.
And
with a
now
golf
it's a
tournament?
party and there's a golf tournament going
Yeah,
on.
I've seen video.
They
I've
need
seen
to-
video
They
of
need to
people
drop back.
walking
But-
around, like people recording other people, and they're just like they're
slammed.
smashed,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
They're
And
like
they-
smash the Pelican, like they're gooned.
And this year it changed a little bit because there was a weather delay. So what else do you do except drink? Like it made it a little bit worse.
I guess
but it's
you
now
can
you
go-
go like before it was people went to go watch golf but also get hammered and have a great time and party. But now it's like, oh, we're gonna go get hammered. We don't.
And we
like,
might watch some golf,
and there's just like, and I feel like it's you get a little worried about it because now it's got to be policed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
the
once it
guys
starts
swimming-
getting policed, then it loses a little bit of something. Whereas
Yeah.
before it was fully
Sure,
organic.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, and it just
And
kind of
that's
evolved.
but at
Like,
some
I love
point you
the
got to
football,
watch
like,
it.
Golfers throwing footballs back and forth, like really, like that's the closest thing to Happy Gilmore that you are going to get. Like Happy Gilmore when he's like, "Come on, make some noise." That is the that was it 16 or 17?
16.
16
Yeah.
is the closest thing that you where guys are throwing footballs back and forth with the crowd and they're booing if they're it's
You
just
missed the green.
It's
There used to be
it's
caddy
pretty
races.
cool. Hey, I cut you off, but how'd you do on your list, man? I'm eager to know on your list.
I was 21 of 25.
That's pretty good.
And
Did
I
you
got
take
9 of 10 on the
Verstappen
top
off?
10. Verstappen for it didn't matter.
Because there was a big one yesterday. It was a big
Abby
decision.
Wambach I put on there, but she didn't make
Wombat?
The wombat.
The
as
wombat.
Ozzy called
this
her.
is the
Kelsey.
ESPN top 100 athletes of the 2000 since 2000.
Oh, I
I've
didn't
been-
know it was just since the 2000s.
Since
I
2000.
missed that yesterday.
Yeah, no, since 2000.
Oh, okay,
Otherwise,
that
it'd been
makes
a
a
much
lot more-
different list.
That makes a lot more sense
Oh,
about
yeah.
the people you guys were. I was like, why are they just not counting these guys?
I was
Yeah,
texting
it's just
Belzy a little
okay.
bit.
Okay.
So my list yesterday, I thought Kelsey and Gronk were going to be in it because I thought they'd be in the top 100. They weren't in it at all.
You thought Travis Kelce was going to be in the top 100 of 2000s? Wow.
And same with Gronk. Like they had Darrell Revis in there. They had a few other people in there that I sit there and go, I don't know how you have them in there and you wouldn't have Gronk or Kelsey. So those two guys must be in the top 25.
I guess, yeah.
They're
Kelce
not in the
and
top
Gronk
100.
basically have a similar career, right?
Yeah.
Abby Wambach's not on the list, and Conor McGregor was not on the list.
And Sinclair's not on the list?
Sinclair
No.
wasn't on the list.
Didn't
On the
make it.
top 100?
Yeah.
Correct.
I blame
Stop. Throw
Zach
that list in
Tacum
the
on Conor
garbage.
McGregor, or of Conor McGregor on Zach Tacum because he convinced me that he would be in the top 25.
How can you not have Christine Sinclair in the top 100? That's the
Canadian.
dumbest list of all time.
The 4 people that were in that we didn't have, one I did throw out yesterday as maybe in there. Diana Taurasi.
Yeah.
She's in it. Aaron Donald made the top 25.
yeah.
But
Kevin Garnett
pretty
made the
dominant,
top
football
25.
player.
I was a little surprised by Kevin Garnett.
Won a Celtics championship, right?
Albert Pujols. And I went, how did I forget him
Yeah.
yesterday?
He was great.
The greatest.
That's a guy that needs to be in the list.
For sure.
In
That
the
guy
top
should be in the
10,
top 25, Albert Pujols.
He's in top 25.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because they had him 26 through 100. And where I was trying to guess.
Oh, so they gave you 26
well,
to
they
100.
were doing it all week.
okay.
And so they had
Sorry.
26 to 100. So I was trying to guess who'd be in the top 25. And I was guessing who they were going to put in. And that's where, I just thought, how do you not have Gronk or Kelsey in your top
Is
100?
Annika Sorenstam in there?
She's in the top
was in-
100, but
yeah,
not
she
in
was
the
like
top 25.
seven.
Who's the
70s or
top
something?
female golfer?
I think she was.
Yeah.
And she's not in the top 25?
Correct.
Yeah. In the top 10, I was 9 of 10. Michael Phelps
What
did not
dartboard did
only
they
in the
use for
top
this
10
list?
We don't know.
It's ridiculous.
Michael Phelps ultimately was in the top 10. He was also number 1.
Yeah,
Which
he-
I'm surprised he was number 1.
Really? Who else?
Over Tom Brady.
Yeah, Olympics mean more than the NFL. That's America. You're representing America.
Yeah, but like the
What?
swimming events, you get so
Yes.
many.
NFL means more than Olympics to America.
You get so many opportunities to win medals.
There are,
if you're
I
a
bet you
swimmer.
there are more people that would casually tune into the Olympics than casually tune into football.
Around the world, yes, but
In the States, too. When the
The
Olympics
Super Bowl is the
happen,
biggest sporting
it's-
event.
That's 2 weeks.
The Super Bowl is the biggest sporting event.
yeah, I disagree.
Okay. Wow.
Not knowing the facts.
Also, so in the top 10, Phelps was in there. Lewis was out of it. And
19?
Lewis was all the way down to 19.
Yeah.
It surprised me. Lewis Hamilton.
Hamilton.
It was very dominant. But so I thought I was going to go 24 of 25, ended up being 21 of 25. And I thought I'd get 9 of 10 right in the top 10. I got 9 of 10 right.
Pretty good.
So who is the top 5? Sorry, can you rattle?
Phelps.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Serena.
Messi.
I'm just pulling up now.
LeBron.
Yeah, I think LeBron.
4th.
And then
Brady, 5th.
Brady. Then Roger.
From 2000?
Yeah.
Roger
Then since
Federer?
2000. Simone Biles. Tiger Woods. Usain Bolt. Kobe Bryant. Novak Djokovic. Rafael Nadal. Cristiano Ronaldo. Steph Curry. Katie Ledecky. Tim Duncan. Shaquille O'Neal. Patrick Mahomes. Lewis Hamilton. Aaron Donald. Diana Taurasi. Sidney Crosby. Kevin Garnett.
Oh,
Albert
Crosby's in the
Pujols.
top 25.
26.
I can't believe Tiger Woods isn't higher, actually. And I'm not a Tiger fan. I'm
know what
an
I think hurts
anti-Tiger
him?
guy. Well, obviously,
It
a lot
wasn't-
of stuff hurts
well,
him. but-
it wasn't like the entire 2000s. Like 2000 to 2024.
Yeah, but his dominant
Right?
stretch was mostly in the 2000s. Like his
But it's
late
since
90s.
2000.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm saying like he didn't dominate the 2.5 decades.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what
He
you're
was,
saying.
Like,
but
although
his dominance
was
in the
unbelievable,
was
yeah.
was like. Listen, I'm far from a Tiger Woods guy, but Tiger Woods might be the most dominant athlete per capita of their sport. When you compare each athlete and how they dominated their sport, Serena might be the only one that I can think of. And now this is obviously recency bias. I'm not going back into Jim Thorpe and things like that, but I think Tiger, the way he lapped the field so much, like look how long it took Tiger to not be number 1 in the world anymore. With the world now, you could say the rankings are flawed, but Tiger and Serena, for me,
They're
are
up
maybe
there.
the most dominant athletes of their respective sports.
The thing I was like,
Is Federer in there?
yeah, he was top 10.
5,
He was
wasn't
6.
it?
He was
Oh,
6.
six,
yeah.
Here's the thing, like though, like where I have an issue is like Phelps is 1, Usain Bolt is 9.
What?
Well, yeah, but like Usain Bolt only has so many he could run, where swimmers have so
Yeah.
many more that they could
But
be in.
he was
And but like Usain Bolt won everything.
he used to be in the top 5. I don't know
but
why
then that's
I missed
where I
that.
struggle with the Phelps being number 1. Then is that it's like okay, swimmers get an advantage because now you have to be good in all those disciplines.
But you can win 12
But he could win
events,
so many
yeah.
medals there. Whereas Usain Bolt could
They're not
win.
running
He won
backwards.
max 4
Twice.
He won the 100. He won the 200,
relay.
and then he won the 4x100. And one of those years he lost it because a teammate was doping.
So he won 3 races.
He won 3 golds 3 times. So like that limits. Whereas Michael Phelps is
Why don't they have
immediately
150?
Michael Phelps is a 28-time Olympic
They should
medalist,
almost.
23-time
It's a
gold
flawed list.
medalist.
But
and
what is
Usain
that?
Bolt only
No,
won
like a
golds.
150
Yeah.
meter race.
Oh,
But what is
I
there's
don't know.
100
difference,
in the
like they did with
freestyle, 100 in the
Johnson and
breaststroke,
Bailey.
100. Yeah, like
I don't
there's
know.
There's different disciplines, and I get they're all different.
Like at the
I
World
get it.
But-
Fields, maybe.
Like it's just
there's the opportunity.
exactly.
Yeah. There's not 110 meter
But
race.
I just look at Tom Brady and I go,
look at his dominance instead of like, yeah, he won those gold medals. So I
well,
think
he was 23 of 28. He won 23 golds, 28-time Olympic gold medalist. Where I think Usain Bolt was outside of the one
the
doping
relay,
scandal.
he's never lost.
He never lost.
So
he was an
I
8-time
would put
champ.
Usain Bolt number 1
See,
ahead of Michael Phelps.
Tom Brady to me because the
And
dominance.
that's the great thing about this list.
entire
we all
career.
agree this list is garbage because there's no Christine Sinclair, so we can tear it apart.
Fair.
Tiger or
Like
a
not
Tom.
even in the 100. That is such an anti-Canadian list.
Yes.
But Tom Brady, he played in the entire 2000s basically, and he was so dominant. Like it was. Do you think of
But
how
he's
many
a
Super
team
Bowls he
player
went to?
too, though.
But in football, it's the quarterback that
Sure.
takes you, and he's done something we've never seen from a quarterback, and we may never see it again. Although Patrick Mahomes is on the path to doing it.
Yeah, but the quarterback
we'll see if he
can't do
does it.
everything. David Tyree comes to mind. So I'm just saying, like you're, for me, an individual athlete. Like I would probably go Usain Bolt, and then Phelps, Serena would be tied. To me, Serena Williams is the most dominant tennis player ever, man or woman. And I like that she's so high on that list. I might even put
That's
her.
also because she's American too.
Yeah,
Let's
for
be
sure.
real. Like if she was an Aussie, I don't think she'd be number 2.
No, you're right. Look
they
at
are
Annika
Americans. They call
Sorenstam
them.
is so far down the list. It's probably for me the greatest female golfer of all time, most dominant for her era, and she's way down the list. So it's obviously Stars and Stripes forever list. Like it's to not have the most successful female soccer player of all time. The scoring wise, not on that list.
That's no gender. She's the best international goal scorer ever. It doesn't matter
so
gender.
to not have her
Marta
on that
is
list
on the
is
list,
a
but
joke.
she's the best female soccer
Probably,
player
yeah.
ever. She
but
is.
to have the most the statistical leader of goals in all of soccer is not on that list. Where is the wastebasket that we can Michael Jordan this into? Everybody does
Or if
that,
you're
right?
Dusty, it's LeBron James.
Everybody takes their rolled up socks. Like when Trish is in the bathroom, I'm trying to if I hit her with my sock, it's Jordan, and I swished.
Hey, no.
She's like, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "Everybody does that except for Dusty."
Portions of this hour brought to you by the High Product Marketing, official merch
doesn't
partner
sound
of EST, promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, thehighproductmarketing.com. Penner's Pancakes saying we should maybe vote on the top 5 EST moments from the last year. Well, Penner's Pancakes. That's called the ESTs.
Yeah.
That will be one of the categories at the ESTs. Moment of the year on EST.
There's a lot, hey?
Yeah.
I've got it starting the list of it.
Dean yelling at Will for 2 hours. And Will yelling at Dean.
That's a contender for Hangout of the year.
Yeah.
I was here for that too. I could hear it.
Yeah, because you're in the other room.
I was in the other room.
don't. That's where we're gonna have the show. I disagree.
I had to ask if you guys liked each other when you worked together
For
because I
for
wasn't
real?
sure. Yeah, I
He
was like,
texted
did
us
they
after.
like
He's
each
like,
other?
did they have-
Oh yeah, that was every day when I saw Will. We were just oil and dinner, but after we would just laugh. Like the best thing was I would say an opinion can't be wrong, and he would say you're wrong.
The ESTs, which I got to figure out. I got to remember, well, not figure out. The date is confirmed. We have the venue booked. I just got to double check it to make sure I'm correct on it. But
I
stay
can't
tuned
wait to
mostly
see the
for the
Whack
month of
Packers.
August because
I want to see the Whack
we're going to be
Packers
discussing the
come out.
categories. We're going to be just looking for nominations.
Like
we're
remember
gonna
they do
have
Stern's birthday shows? That's what I think of
yeah,
as this.
Yeah.
We're gonna have all the
Whale and the
conversations.
Wolf gonna play there.
I haven't asked them. I don't want. They might be up for an award. I might get them to present
Aren't
an
they
award.
Whack Packers?
I might have them present
they're
the
the
award or
ultimate
something.
Whack
Yeah,
So
they
like,
are.
there's a lot that's going to come from it. But I've said this on the oil stream. I think it was last week we discussed this. Like the Grammys have a couple major awards. They had the Record of the Year, Song of the Year,
Artist of the Year,
and then
new
like New
artist.
Artist of the Year, something like that. So you have those top ones.
Your majors.
The Oscars has Best Picture, Actress, Actor of the Year. Those are the
Director,
three.
too.
So to me, Moment of the Year is a big one. Show of the Year, Episode of the Year, I think are our three.
Oh, those are the ones at the
Well, yeah,
end.
like when we
Those
did
are
the
like the
pipeline show, we had our
top-
4 majors.
top
You have to
ones.
have your big
I think there's one
that
more
you
I'm missing.
keep till the end, right? Those are the
I might
last.
sprinkle one in a bit earlier.
Oh, really?
You got to mix things around. You got to mix them up a
I
bit.
like the producer and you like, oh.
Got to mix this up.
You're gonna get Al
dirty
Pacino in to
little
mess up
taster.
the.
No, I better not. Better not. I'm gonna have and how this is gonna go.
Are you gonna have presenters?
I want full presenters. I don't want a host. I want just presenters. We'll have like the
Oh, you're not gonna have
voice
Jimmy
of God,
Kimmel? Like, or,
we'll have the voice
or
of God or
Ricky
something.
Gervais?
ladies and gentlemen, here's Joaquin Gage. And then Gage will come out. You can say whatever you want, but then you present the award and go, here are the nominees. And we say the nominees. But then you'll have a card. And I'm going to legit build these cards. And then you're going to have to open up. And the winner is Dean and Will's Hangout episode.
All I want is the ability to play Dino off when his speech goes too long.
I'm not leaving.
Orchestra.
I am not leaving. I am finishing my coffee.
Yeah. So no, we're so to Penner's Pancakes.
That
We're and how this is gonna work. We're gonna work on nominees. I want a good list of like 15 to 20 nominees for each category that we come up with, and then have a full voting process I will be executing.
Can you guys get an EST
This is gonna be legit.
signal in the air, like the,
I'm
you know,
not
the
bringing
bat
anything
signal?
here. I want this to
The
be
spotlights.
legit.
You need spotlights, and then you need the EST in the sky.
And Garno Theater,
That'd be good.
the Metro Cinema is what we booked.
That's
great.
right. Oh my goodness,
We've actually booked an actual theater.
That is-
and it's for 2 hours you could book it, and they're like, it's this much more to book it for longer. And we're like, screw it. I don't know how much longer we're gonna go, but
It's
I'm not
so
rushing
good.
this. We're booking it the whole night.
I watched a documentary there was shown on the Flin Flon Bombers. It was, but that theater is awesome. I want to go to the. Sometimes
In
they have
Flin
like
Flon?
no in the
the Metro
Garneau.
Center.
That's,
in
that's
Garneau,
just where they aired it, and that was the first time I'd been in there, and I'm like, it's so cool. And then people were telling me they do like Rocky Horror picture shows, and like I would love because that's an event, right?
Yeah.
Or a Lebowski movie or something like that, where everybody in the theater knows every line and they're waiting for it. Like that's I had a guy the other day said he went and saw a Holy Grail at a theater, and everybody was dressed up as like Monty Python and stuff. I'm like. That's what this will be like, man.
It's all gonna
People
be
are going to be coming in costume.
Year one. Well, it's black tie.
I'm wearing a
man.
tux.
It's black tie.
It's black tie.
We wanna
so
make
like
this- we
tube
wanna up
socks
this
guy
up.
can't come in its
He-
tube
he
socks.
has to wear his tuxedo shorts.
We want to try
Does
to.
he do the tube socks
We're gonna-
over the pants?
We're gonna class this up as much as we can. I do want it's all gonna be PowerPoint year one.
Norman a combine.
I'll build it.
Dusty and you.
I'll do it at Dusty. No, because Dusty can't know the winners. I'm gonna have to do I'm not getting a vote. I'm not getting a vote.
So
I'm
who's the
remote.
voting committee?
So how I'm gonna do is we have Nasty Club members, the annual members.
See, those are
I'm
the
not-
guys that know. They're
I'm going
they're
with
the
the
true.
I'm going with the annual members. They will get one of those Survey Monkeys
Yeah.
that website or something. I'll build one of those out.
Yes.
I also am going to go.
Of course, you have this all planned. Of course.
Well, the
Like,
moment they said so, when Dusty and Eric first brought it up, I think they were expecting me to be like, "This is a stupid idea. We're not doing it." And I remember doing the morning show when they're like, "What do you think, Matt?" And I went on air. I'm like, "I like this."
they thought he was going to be
stupid.
like what's it, the producer in Pig Vomit, where he got
Yeah,
shot.
Pig
Stupid, but it's stupid in a great way. Like
Yeah.
I
we're
love
doing
it.
this,
It's
and in
good
my mind,
stupid.
the moment I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? And I planned it all out. So annual Nasty Club members will get a vote. Also, locally within EST, people will get a vote.
Tell me,
I will-
Eric and Dusty are wearing Dumb and Dumber tuxes.
I will wait
hope so.
all of that. And they will vote for I'll take the 5 finalists.
This
And
is
then I'm
so
going to build a
good.
panel of 3.
When
and I'm
is
going
this?
to the panel of 3, and I will get them to rank them 1, 2, 3. I'll do awarding, and then that's how I'll decide who's first.
Holy! We need a behind-the-scenes show of Matthew's planning this,
got-
like a
then I
reality
will-
show following Matthew.
We've got the Drive to Survive people.
And then I will fold it up. I'll put the cards in. We'll get trophies.
The Estes, year
and the
one.
Estes. I think it's September 17th. It's a Tuesday. Has to be a weeknight because Dusty has his CFL stuff. But I am going to be pushing for the Wednesday to be an EST stat day, or at the very least, we don't start till 9 o'clock.
5 years
But
from now.
in the end, if the morning boys want to come in and work, that's cool. I'm not showing up till 9 anyways because I'm only here for the hangout. So.
5 years from now, it'll be at the Jubilee Packed House.
Could you imagine? That would be amazing.
20-year anniversary will be at Commonwealth.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
That'd be
It'll be
great.
tickets. There will
It'll be
like
like
tickets will
Freddie
be on.
Mercury coming out on stage at Live Aid. You know, like,
It'll be tickets for sale, but tickets will be really cheap.
Yeah.
I think there's alcohol sales there, and then we'll have an after party somewhere.
Perfect.
We'll build the after
oh my
party.
God,
So
that's
it's
this is just such a good idea.
this is
I just think that's
Nasty
so
Bash
good.
next Friday. I'm working on that, but I'm also starting to work on Estes because we need to go through that through August because I need to get everything done and ready to go because September 17th will be here before you know it, and it becomes our what was that? Our third signature event of a calendar.
Unreal, man.
We
What's
got
your
golf
fir-
tournaments.
oh, yeah, the
we got
golf
Nasty
tournament,
Bash. We'll have Esties, and then we want to do a curling. I always
You
go
guys
Bonchie
have
Bill.
to do. Listen, I'm sorry. I should suggest this. You guys need to do like a Lebowski/Kingpin bowling tournament where everybody comes dressed. Like we did that a while back, and I pulled out my Walter Sobchak that I have, and I came in with a dog carrier and a Pomeranian in there. I left the gun out because I thought, maybe don't take a gun into a bowling
Great.
alley.
Yes, don't.
But see, a bowling is. We were talking about like, hey, could you have a pickleball event? But then people are waiting and watching. Bowling, like golf, everybody is participating.
I have a purple onesie with Joaquin on it. I can be
There you go.
the
You
Jesus.
lick the bowling ball.
We did that. So we dressed up. My buddy's wife came as the Folgers can. She just had a Folgers can on her in red. I'm
Donnie.
like, you're Donnie's ashes. That is so good. My wife was the nihilist that lost her toe, and so we found this pair of cowboy boots, cut them off from whatever, put a gross toe and put it on. My dad's like, "What happened to Trish's toe? Is she okay?" I'm like, "I'll get her a toe by 4 o'clock."
That's awesome.
I think that would be fun.
Wow. Yeah,
Like
that's gonna be
anything
a
that
great
you
night.
bring your listeners together and allow them to.
And they'll be up for awards too.
That's
like,
what I
it's
mean.
Not
Like
just
we're
giving each other
You
awards.
are including them, and that's what the
there's
beauty of this is. And I go
text of
back
the
to
year.
the yeah, exactly.
There'll be text of the year.
Like
We got
that
a
might
few
be the
other
most
things.
prestigious award from a listener perspective. Text of the year? Are you kidding me? I had the best text of all year. Like that might be the award to want. Like that's the Ted Lindsay Award
Yeah.
Let's see.
because it's the peers, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
And there's been some doozies on this
I just
station.
think this is awesome, man. And you
And
guys
so
have
stupid
you
at the
guys
exact
have,
same time.
And you know what?
Like
you knew
we're a
it,
sports radio station doing an award show.
but you knew it last year at your first bash when people were flying in from Atlanta and Eastern Canada. You knew you had something, and this city needed it, obviously. And good luck to the other guys what they're doing. It was a bit of a split, but this city needed something. Like
Yeah.
as soon as we were sitting in our office at Silent Ice the day it came down, and all of a sudden we were like, okay. Where like this city, where is it going to go? Is it going to be a split? Are they going to do an online thing? So when that happened, it was like such a down moment, and I think that Nasty Bash probably, and I wasn't there, but just revitalized everybody, and you guys have been riding that wave ever since with them along with you, which makes it they feel ownership. I mean. Listen, I Reed and Bob and Rob and everybody at Ched. It's great. You worked with those guys.
Yep.
But you don't feel, and even at TSN 1260, we had our shows. There never was, we were a corporation.
Yep.
And so the listener never felt as part of it as I think they do here, is I
point.
think how it goes.
What
You
And then
feel,
another AM bit the dust last week or 2 weeks ago too, so it's an indicator where things are going, right?
With
Sad
what's
but
that?
true. 880.
Oh, yeah.
and
that's
it's
right,
going to
yeah,
go away.
that's-
It's the simulcasting chat at the
yes,
moment.
I spoke to a kid that works over there, and he's going to do some play-by-play for us. And I said, well, their loss is our gain because you're going to do so much work now, and it's so unfortunate. I worry for the future. This is the future. I mean, production companies, stations. You know, Zach Zacticum came here as a practicum student. We had offered him a practicum spot as well, and he chose this, and obviously a great choice. But these are the places that you are going to get your training. I mean, I came out of broadcasting school and I went to CKX in Brandon. It's gone. Then I went to Red Deer. It's gone. Then I went to Regina. They don't have sports. Then I came to Edmonton. They don't have sports. Where do you go?
You were going to say something?
Oh no, I was wondering about when at last year's Nasty Bash, because I knew you guys were doing this, but not many people did. Right? What was the announcement like when
I was out of town.
Oh, you were out of town, too.
I had so
Survey
much
Brett
FOMO,
tweeted
Gager.
it recently.
You weren't at the Nasty Bash?
I was out of town. It just I was gone.
I'll show you it.
It was
I
awesome.
never seen
But
the
did
video of
ev-
it, and it was just like an eruption.
I had
yeah?
FOMO.
Did everyone know that it was? But the
People there, when I was talking to people ahead of time, they knew.
Like, did you guys just bill it as a celebration?
Well, so how this started, the Nasty Bash was actually started when the boys were still on the
Yeah.
air at 1260.
Oh, I didn't
It
know
was
that.
just going to be a summer party for them.
That's right.
And they were planning it.
Yeah.
And then when we got shut down, Dusty and Eric were like, screw it, we're still going to do this party. And then in the lead up to it, we're like, well, this is a perfect way to announce this then in the end. You know, and that little time ahead of it, we're like, hey, let's utilize this. And while there, so many people came and were like, oh, are you guys announcing something? Is something coming? And it was like, well, yeah, we're not telling you what yet. But like, I have the full video of it somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the full. Oh, that's just the cheer and stuff. But Dusty and Eric just stood up there. They announced it, and everyone lost their mind. And people were chanting some really weird things.
Belzy has one that stands out to him that's not fit for Eric, but he always brings it up, and I'm like, wow. And I remember calling Belzy. I had FOMO because I was tracking it. I'm like, how's the party going? And Belzy's like, it is insane. There are just some mutants here having a time.
Well, Box Pounder sends this in. He says, my wife won't be attending the Nasty Bash. The chanting last year frightened her. She thinks we're a cult.
Yes.
Oh my God.
She's not wrong. It seems
Codes
like
of
something.
sports, you know.
We
might
have
not be
some
wrong
normies too. Like we've got some normal people. It's all
But,
good.
yeah, it's so yeah, no, it was like once last year happened with the Nasty Bash, we're like, well, we're doing this again next year.
I forgot to ask. I was listening on the morning show. Somebody on the hot takes. Somebody said Chris Jones more like Jim Jones. Did you hear that?
That was Eric.
That was Eric.
I'm like, wow, that's going back in time. And I'm like, that's what's made me think of the cult thing. Is like it is, but it's a healthy cult, right? Like there's healthy cults.
Yeah.
Better be. Otherwise, we're in a really bad spot right now creating something.
Yeah, isn't I don't want to offend religion, so I won't go into it. But no,
As long as
it is
Dusty doesn't turn into David Koresh.
Yeah. Or
You just don't
Jones.
want to drink this.
Yeah, don't drink the
That's the
Kool-Aid.
only thing. You don't want to
But
go
it-
there.
We'll be at the Nasty
it
Bash.
is like a I instead of the cult, I use a different C word. The community. It is a community. It's not community radio like in college, but
No, I
it
love
has a
community radio,
feel
though.
where it's like a campus. Like you're having fun. You come in. You know, it's,
If you wear your Edmonton Sports Talk hat out, you'll see people, you know, normally you wear a hat out. Not many people kind of look at it, right? But people will go, oh.
you know,
It's one of it's the sign. You're one of
Do you
us.
ever see?
Yeah.
You ever see motorbikers on the road? When you ever
Yeah.
see a motorcycle and they do
Just
this, they just they do the
Yeah.
that's the EST thing. You guys need like a something. Oh, I guess what do you do this?
The
What's this?
round of clicks.
That's round of
So,
clicks
that,
for.
so when you see somebody
started
doing
that.
wearing a hat, maybe that you guys need like a EST thing.
There was a guy on my way to the football game the other day. I was wearing my green and gold EST limited edition hat, sold out by the way. And this guy had his like young family on there, and it was packed on the train, and I just like scooched in, and then at the end when we were all getting off at Commonwealth, he's like, "Love your guys' stuff, by the way. Keep it up." And I was just like, and he didn't even. I didn't even look at the guy. He didn't even look at me the whole 10 minutes we're
See,
on
and
the
that's
train.
it's just building
It was
organically,
so cool.
right?
Yeah.
Let's get to Road Warriors, presented by AccuSteel Heavy Haul Trailers, custom manufacturing heavy haul trailers for mining, oil and gas equipment, highway transportation, no patch jobs, better than you solutions, trusted by the leaders in the heavy transport industry. Get on the road with peace of mind for your large loads. AccuSteel.ca. We've got about 10 minutes here on the show. The Edmonton Elks, they'll be on the road tomorrow. They're out in Ottawa, taking on the Red Blacks with Jairus Jackson as the interim head coach. G. Roy Simon is the interim GM, but that doesn't impact the game tomorrow. Green and Gold kickoff show, 4 o'clock right here in Edmonton Sports Talk, live from Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge. Myself, Jay Mill, come join us. We'll be there for pre and post, and watching the game there as the Edmonton Elks look for their first win of the season. They are the underdogs in this one. Ottawa, the favorites going into it. Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes. Myself and Huss will have full coverage. We'll get into our CFL picks for this week. It's hard when you get the coaching change. It's hard not to think there'll be the bump for the Elks in this one. It was especially losing by a field goal last week.
Well, the 3 walk-off losses just got that team. So now they're going to be like they were shot out of a cannon. And Jerry Montajong and I were on this hangout, and we talked about what happens if this team goes 0-5. Like we literally, because we were talking about the sale, and would a new owner come in and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, we know whatever's going on with that. But I think a lot of people thought this was going to happen with Chris Jones. Maybe not 0-5, but here's the other thing.
I did.
They're two wins away from being right back in it. I mean, this is the weirdest 0-5 situation.
So it's back in as long as the other two teams
That's
don't
right.
win.
Yeah, that's sure. But they can start winning. We've seen, like, was it last year they were 0-4 and then they went on a 3-game winning streak?
No,
they were 0-9 last year.
But they did go on a 3-game winning
They won
streak.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
They
I think
should've
Dusty
they almost won
actually
4-4.
predicted that. But what I'm saying is, this is the weirdest 0-5 because the way they've lost, and they're still relatively within striking distance. Like you're not Hamilton's not catching anybody in the East. Edmonton could still conceivably, with a bump and maybe some personnel changes and using different people, maybe could conceivably get back into this. And how many times have we seen an under 500 team in the CFL go on a run?
A few.
Yeah.
More than a few. We've seen under 500 teams win
The
Grey
Bombers
Cups.
have lost to a under 500 Calgary team in the Grey Cup before. So it's not, it's hard. And you know, Rick Lallisher has to say that the season is not over. He can't come out and say we're doomed. But honestly, if the Eskimos, or the Elks, I'm sorry, if they are in a playoff spot at the end of the season, I'm not going to be terribly surprised because the CFL is fairly unpredictable, especially after Labor Day.
Yeah, well, once they put Trey Ford in, they'll start winning.
It was
Well, isn't
Just
that
kidding.
what everybody has said though? And wouldn't you at least give that a shot? Like,
But isn't it the defense?
What did Mac T say all the time? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So you're 0-5. Why wouldn't you at least try a different result? Yeah, I get the defense, but you have to try something, I would think.
Maybe the lights.
I'm not a
of fire.
football.
I'm
not a football coach, so I don't.
I came out of my wiener cave a few times.
You're working hard
to
past
watch,
week.
but I
Oh,
watched.
were you mad at me, by the way? Because you kind of ghosted me, or were you actually working?
No, I saw your text. I go, oh, I got to text Tommy, and then I got working, and then I had to put my phone away.
What's your wiener cave?
He slings dogs.
I work at the concession.
He slings
That's,
glizzies. It's
Wow, you're
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
I do
worked his
everything.
way up. He's
Yeah.
worked his way from the bottom of the kitchen to
Do
running
you
the
guys
kitchen.
get- do you guys get a
Concession is his
discount?
concession. Yeah.
Well, not at the.
Five
If you
finger.
can't, if you say it's for free, then
We
that's,
get it for
then that's the
$3.99.
discount.
All right.
But yeah, no.
Continue.
I'd come out and watch because they tied it up late or whatever, and then I'm thinking, oh, cool, like everyone's pumped,
Yeah.
and then they just what's the QB's name from
McLeod Bethel Thompson?
No, the
Drew Brown.
Drew Brown.
Like he looked like Joe Montana for crying out loud.
480 he threw for.
Like just like and darts down the middle. I'm like, come on, and then they scored again, and then they tied it up, and then I'm watching the walk off. I was just like, how do they get what was it 42 yards on the first and 29 on. I'm like, how do you not just stuff that? It was just
They
it
couldn't
was so
stuff
It's sports, right? How many times you see a team go into it? Like I was waiting for Florida's defensive shell to collapse and the Oilers
Yeah.
to score, right? You see teams, don't go into a defensive shell,
Yeah.
you know, and then the prevent. Remember the 101-yard touchdown for Milt Stiegel, like where the Rick Campbell and you go into your prevent situation
Blitz.
and you just give up so much, underneath or whatever, and then like it's just inevitable in all sports. Like I don't know. Even in golf, do you start playing like, oh, I've got a 3-stroke lead? Do I start playing defensive and that's where you make mistakes? Or I just want to get this serve in tennis
Yeah.
or whatever. When you start taking the foot off the gas a little bit, it's maybe hard to, or if you ever have a lead, then you fall behind. So you've been protecting the lead. Now you got to chase. Like in sports, to flip that switch is hard. And I just wonder if they couldn't recover after trying to defend, and then it.
Yeah, no, that's why I love playoff hockey is the ebbs and flows of pushing and sitting back, and it's fascinating to watch when teams are, they would be the Oilers would be so much better by just playing offensively all the time, I think. I mean, there's points when you don't want to take too many chances, but I think they're so good where they can still play an offensive brand of hockey without the puck.
Well, they showed that they would win 1-0, 2-1
Yeah.
games. But I thought what Florida did in that final minutes of that game was so impressive because usually you're betting that they're gonna break at some point, right? And to give them the kudos,
but
was pretty impressive.
I think it's almost easier to play that way.
Really?
Yeah, because it's
How so?
Because it's one game and there's two periods
okay,
left.
okay, yeah.
And I'm doing everything to make it as difficult
you don't
as
have to play
possible.
tomorrow, I guess.
There's nothing else to play for to get to that
I
level.
just worry about a mistake. Like, especially as a goalie, I'd be thinking, don't shoot on me. I'm the guy in where they're kicking to the guy. He's all scared to receive the kick. Yeah, we're targeting that guy.
I think it's natural for a goalie. Like I would say, oh my god, I don't shoot. But then I'm like,
then you're playing and you're
But
into
I'm
it.
like, it's not like I'm not going to try on this. I try I try to stop 4-year-olds.
You know, I was the goalie. I'm like, man, I hope I get one shot in this game and we win.
It's funny. It's like, well, confidence is waning, and you're like, geez, if they shoot, they might score. But then I'm like, well, it's not like
I was
I'm not
always
gonna
worried
try.
about the first shot too. Be like, don't float, don't bounce one in from the blue line, please.
Oh, God, that's what that Lidstrom tried to do too. He'd had that skipper.
Oh,
right?
so he would seriously?
He would practice that.
Well,
Like,
people don't realize how hard that is.
Yeah, he would cup it, and then like he would try to, how many times you'd see him come over his blue line and take a slap shot on net, and it would go and
Scored
boom.
that one on Dan Kluche in the
Yeah, he
playoffs.
did. Yeah,
No,
but it's like a bouncing puck. You don't know where it's going to go. It's not like a baseball that's going to bounce and you're right here. A bouncing puck on edge could go this way over your shoulder. I was terrified of bouncing pucks.
One of the greatest saves I ever made was in Leksand in Sweden, where a guy shot it and it was wobbly, but it was hard, and it came down and jumped the other way, and I windmilled a glove.
Oh, wow.
It was unreal. Yeah,
Video?
Fans were
We got
even
some video?
clapping for that save.
We gotta dig that video.
I
up.
got kicked out of that game for fighting.
Yes, that's my boy.
That's impressive. Best save ever in a fight.
Yeah.
That will wrap up today's hangout. 2 hours just gone. Snap of the
like
finger.
that.
Coming up next, Lock Shot, myself and Huss. We've got Week 7 of the Canadian Football League covered, and then at noon, it's two guys and a goalie. Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage, Cass around.
Is he still on vacation?
One guy
I
and a
don't know,
goalie.
man. I
Well,
don't
we
know.
have a good time.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Make it work.
I just don't know if he's in or not. I'm
text
not
him.
part of all your group chats. I'm not a part of a few group chats, apparently. I'm now into, I think, the draft one. I think maybe, I don't know. I got
There
texts
was
about
turmoil after Quinn was finding out about categories on the morning show today. We got it all settled.
Oh,
that today. Yeah, I also was
commission
told
needs to know.
yesterday that the draft is happening next Thursday.
The days kept changing.
And I thought it was Wednesday, and no one thought it'd be important to tell, the host of the Hangout that they're moving the draft to a different day. And
tension.
I had to move. I have to
Office
tell
tension.
Gager he's not on, that he's being bumped. I had to go tell my other
You guys
guest
need a
he's being
reality
bumped. Just
You guys.
all you guys.
It's all
just
over
You're
the
gonna be
map.
like those guys on A&E
Just
that just
disrespect.
bicker and then go out and drive their cars really fast.
Lock Shop up next, then two guys and a goalie. Thanks for tuning into the Hangout on your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. On behalf of Dean, Tommy, Gager, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here. Joining us today,